Surprise.
What?
NCAA football live stream. No.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to ClearProp TV. We have a huge panel right now. This is episode 52. We're in season 2 already. I cannot believe that we're in season 2. Tonight, we're going to be talking about building paramotors, electric paramotors, and paramotor maintenance. But before we get into that, I hear something in the background. Is that me that I hear? Let me check that. That's probably me. All right. Yep, that was me. We are live. How about that? All right, everyone. Tonight we're going to be talking about building paramotors, electric paramotors, and even paramotor maintenance. But before we start, we are going to let you know we got a couple of sponsors, and we're going to be giving away some cool stuff. So we need you to say hello in the super chat. Any donations that you give in the super chat helps to pay for postage on all these wonderful things that we are sending out there. Tonight, we have a $25 gift card to give away. We'll talk about that in just a moment. And also Paraswag USA is going to be giving away another t-shirt. So please say hello in the super chat. So let's now introduce everybody on the panel. As always, we have Linda Anderson. She is our cheerleader. Welcome, Linda.
Hello, welcome. Welcome, my chatters. Hey, I just want to say
She is also
hi.
known.
Happy Monday.
She's also known as ParamoMUSA.com, and that's how you can get up with her if you want to be on the show. Welcome, Linda.
Thank you. I'm excited about the show tonight. Make sure you chatters get on there so you can win something tonight.
Absolutely. We also have our famous person that we have on here, Brian Hey Bill Waller. What's up?
How's it going, guys? Hope everybody's off to a good new year. I know mine is.
Absolutely. Hello. Welcome, Brian. Hey Bill. We got that t-shirt. We're going to be working on getting that t-shirt out there so people can wear the Hey Bill Waller.
Hey.
Awesome. Looking forward to that.
We also have Never Trust a Skinny Chef Shane. What's up, Skinny Chef Shane?
Afternoon. Happy Monday, all. Hope everybody's doing well.
I see that you have 442 subscribers. Hopefully somebody will go to your link, which is in the description below, and will subscribe to your channel.
Sounds good to me.
You're also our resident comedian, so hopefully you'll be letting us know a couple of fun jokes tonight. We're telling a couple of jokes. That's awesome.
Clean jokes.
Clean jokes, since we got that swear jar on the table right now. Absolutely. We also got JP Tulu in the house, our resident tech guy, the only guy
What's
that
going
I
on,
know
guys?
that has thrown a reserve, and it wasn't at an SIV course.
And live to tell about it.
And I know, right? We see JP's YouTube channel on the screen right now. He has 152. Make sure you're like, I don't know, 153.
I'd be
We also
happy
have
with one.
Kevin. I know, right? We also have Kevin Can Fly at kevincanfly.com. Welcome, Kevin.
How's it going, everybody? Happy 2021.
I know, 2021. It's got to be better than last year, right?
We'll see.
I hope so.
Whoa, hold on. Don't say that. I said that about 2019.
And we also have...
I make no claims for this year, except I'm going to fly when it's flyable and train when it's trainable. And if you guys want to come out and train, just hit me up, kevincanfly.com or bridgecityppg@gmail.com, and we'll get you sorted out.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And we have all those links down below, or will here in just a moment. We also have Paraswag USA in the house. It's a husband and wife team, Mark and Amy. Welcome to the show.
Hey.
They're going to be giving away a t-shirt tonight, so we appreciate you. And the reason why we're here, the man of the hour, the only guy that I know that's actually built his own paramotors and has flown them. He has a electric paramotor that he's going to be building and talking to us about, and he does maintenance on many different machines. Welcome, Jordan Anger.
Yay.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for having me.
Welcome.
Man, so we talked today on the phone for about an hour nonstop. I mean, it went like that. It is a little after 7 o'clock, and something tells me that this next hour or two is going to go by really super quick. Jordan has a lot of information. He is extremely smart, and we're going to learn a lot of stuff. So, Jordan, tell us a little bit about your background, what got you into paramotors, and go to your building a paramotor. I'm really interested in that.
Yeah, so I am 29 years old, from Detroit. I did 6 years in the Navy, which is how go blue. I did 6 years in the Navy, which is how I ended up here in Tampa, stationed in Jacksonville on USS Way City for 4 years. Finished my duty, got out, and I'm now a civilian contractor working in the Tampa area. So I'm an electronics technician, which is where my expertise in electronics comes from. And I'm currently working on my bachelor's degree for electrical engineering, specifically in the RF field. So like radio frequency communication, radars, and that types of thing. I'm also, you can kind of somewhat consider me a radar expert. So any radar related questions I can probably answer. I've had some good radar related PPG questions, like, can they see us on the radar? Air traffic control radars, can they see us? Like that type of thing. So I can answer pretty much all of that. In addition to that,
let's go ahead and answer that real quick. Can they see us on the radar?
My favorite answer is it depends. So modern day radars are so sophisticated that they have a problem where they usually see too much, and they have to come out with things to filter out clutter, is what we call it, filter out things that radars aren't concerned with. So the radars that would see you frequently, especially if you're away from the ocean, is general air traffic control radars. These are two-dimensional. They call them track wall scan radars. They basically spin in a circle, and they look for moving objects. And the way they determine that they're moving is if they detect it in one location, they do a full spin, and then it's in another location. Obviously, it's moving. So these radars will usually filter out things that are not moving very quickly, such as clouds. They will have no problem detecting clouds, which is why they try to mitigate the detection of them. So if the Doppler shift of the object that they're tracking is not enough, meaning the thing is not moving fast enough to change the shape of the return signal, it'll get filtered out. It'll just assume that they're not concerned with it. So most air traffic control radars will not detect you. With military radars, it's a different story. So be careful where you fly. Let's just say that.
Interesting. Okay, sorry, I just had to know the answer to that before you went on. Go ahead and please continue.
Yeah. So in addition to that, I have a plethora of hobbies. You can see one right here, which I'll get into later. The other one is PPG, which is why we're all here. So I started in 2017. What got me into it is somebody, I've been trying to figure out who. Somebody was flying over Sand Key, which is a popular beach in the Tampa area. And I was there with my family for the 4th of July weekend. And I saw this guy and a couple of his buddies flying this weird machine over the beach. And I was like, oh my God, what is that thing? That looks awesome. And one of them landed in the field right next to the park. And I was like, oh man, I gotta figure out what that thing is. So I immediately went home and Googled up a storm, and I was like, yep, I'm doing this. Like whatever this is, like this looks awesome.
And you're talking about paramotors.
Yes, that would be paramotors.
That sounds like my story.
Yeah, man. Somebody inspired me to do it. It looked awesome, so I did it.
Nice, awesome.
Seems like that's everyone's story. They saw someone do it. They're like, what is that? They get on the computer and they find Tucker God or one of the other guys that are popular, and they're like, this is what I wanted to do. So you started getting into paramotors, what, like in 2017, you said, I believe?
Yeah, it was late 2017 when I legitimately started buying stuff and talking to people and reaching out and learning things. So I've been flying for 2.5+ years now. I have I think about 300 hours, give or take, under my belt.
Nice.
Pretty cool.
I have so many questions I want to ask, like, about your training, about building paramotors. Where should we start? I mean, how'd you train?
So
Tell us about that process.
The training is a really good question. I'm self-trained, so I basically just I completely indulged myself in all of the information regarding paramotors, because you don't really know what you don't know. So I needed to reach out to like forums and figure out like what kind of stuff am I supposed to know? What kind of motor do I get? What kind of wing do I get? What books do I read? So I bought the PPG Bible. I forgot who the author of that is, but there's a lot of really good information in there. So essentially I read that thing cover to cover. I watched a lot of YouTube videos from like prominent personalities out there in the paramotoring community. Del Shanzi, love him or hate him, was one of them. I saw a couple of his videos. So I was like, okay, cool. There's some okay information in here. Captain Kurt was another one. He had a lot of good parachute handling techniques that I picked up for when I started kiting at the beach. And then from there, it was just a bunch of other like videos of people taking off, lots of Tucker Got videos, obviously. So from there, once I got the gear, I had all of the baseline knowledge and kind of understood, what to do and more importantly, what not to do. I took my wing to the beach, and for, like week after week after week, every weekend I was out there just standing at the beach with nice, smooth laminar air, just kiting my wing, seeing what all the different lines did, learning my parachute handling. And then one day, once I felt I had learned enough, I took it out to a field, took off, and started to learn the rest in the air. So if I'd done anything differently, what I probably would have done is reach out to the community first and find people to fly with, or find people to like be there for my first flight. But I was completely solo. So that's the only thing I would have done differently. If anybody watching finds themselves in the same situation, please talk to other people first before you do it. I didn't really have any accidents or anything like that. Nothing major ever happened to me, but I think I was just kind of lucky. I'm really glad that in my first 50 hours or so, I started to meet people in my area and fly with them. And a couple people were nice enough to notice like the way I handled my wing or the way I took off, like something wasn't quite right. And they were nice enough to give me pointers, and I didn't even realize I was doing anything wrong. So I'm happy for that.
Interesting. Just real quick, what are some of the things that you were doing wrong that you didn't know that you were doing wrong?
One of the big ones was I was leaning into my takeoffs too much. So when you first start to take off, you obviously have to, shift some weight into it to pull your wing up. And apparently on my takeoffs, I was staying like lean forward, like I was still pulling on the wing, and that obviously you're wasting a little bit of your thrust because it's going upwards instead of, backwards to propel you forwards. So there was that. My nil wind takeoffs were pretty bad. On days with very little wind, I had a really hard time keeping my parachute above my head. So I got a lot of really good pointers from some other guys in the area about, staying on your A's really late. Just run really, really fast. Like if you think you're running fast enough, run twice as fast type of thing. Once I learned that type of information, my nil wind takeoffs were a lot better.
Well, that's good. And what was your first wing then?
So my first wing, which I actually just got rid of, was a Mac Para Muse 3. It was a 22 meter, I believe. Definitely an A-wing for sure. This very, very stable. The inflation characteristics were good, but the way I would describe how it flies, it's very chunky. It flies like a Cadillac would fly, I would imagine.
I'm trying to imagine a Cadillac flying. That would be really cool.
Yeah.
So you sold that, and now you got what?
So now I'm flying a Dudek Nucleon XX, and I absolutely love it. Honestly, I should have started with this wing. Another bit of misinformation, I would call it, that I heard on the forums when I was first doing research is like, you want to start off with like an A-wing. You want to like start off with training wheels, the most basic thing possible. And I really feel like if I had surrounded myself with people that were knowledgeable enough, I could have just started off with this wing to begin with, and not have missed out on a lot of good flying. So the current wing I'm flying is an intermediate wing. It's got 2D steering and all the fancy bells and whistles and stuff. So my flying experience is definitely a lot better. I can actually keep up with people now, which I'm not used to. I'm used to having to beg everybody over the radio to like slow down to let me catch up, and I don't have to do that anymore, which is awesome.
The panel, you have any questions, or do we have any questions in the chat?
I'm just
Any
amazed
questions?
about the whole thing because I'm basically self-training also. So for him to sit there and be so dedicated on his own, not be around anyone that is flying, I got into it because of Mark and did that first tandem and that got me hooked. That was his mistake to challenge me on that one because now he has to spend money on me. But I'm just like, there's just so many people to hear from and learn from. And I've gotten a lot of good tidbits. I've got some things that just don't work for me. So I'm just like so inspired to listen to his story because I feel like there's hope for me. And I don't know how much hope because he's obviously a lot smarter than me. I would never be able to build my own paramotor. But I'm just like, what was the best advice he read, videos, or that he received from people when he was first learning through the self-training?
Man, that's a hard question because there's a lot of advice that I feel like you need. Like there isn't one big like that's it piece of information that I can think of where I that completely changed my perspective. There definitely was some bad information that I heard. So the recommendations for an A-wing was probably one of them. The other piece of bad information I got was I heard people on the forums talking about like, oh, you need to go with a rig that's as light as possible. Like the smaller the motor, the better. Like your takeoffs are going to be so much easier. You're not going to get tired on the ground, blah, 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 blah. And I don't feel like that's true for everybody. If I were a like light, older gentleman in like my 70s or up, that might be good advice. But for somebody in their 20s, that you don't want to go light. Like you're not worried about your back getting sore after 5 minutes or anything like that. So I feel like I wish I would have started off with a larger motor and not listened to that advice. But a lot of the good advice I heard was from the PPG Bible that has a lot of really good information about how to like inspect your wing, and taking care of your wing is really important too. Like you want to minimize UV exposure. You want to fold it up the right way. You don't want to bend the cells, that type of thing. Those are all really good nuggets of information to know because you're going to save yourself failures down the line when it comes to inspecting your rig. And you're also going to prolong the lifespan of your wing, especially if you are able to minimize its UV exposure. I've heard some people make estimates that every hour you leave your wing exposed to the UV, it costs you something like $5 or $6 or something like that. If you break it down on a cost basis, so yeah, you have to keep that in mind as well.
Hey, real quick, Jordan, Aviator Show in the chat was asking, what was your first wing?
Yeah, so my first wing was a Mac Para Muse 3.
Oh, you said that. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
The Muse.
Yep. And I don't have any complaints. In fact, I was flying it up until about 4 weeks ago when I bought my new wing. So I put 200 plus hours on it and didn't really have any issues with it. In fact, I even put a couple holes in it and snapped some lines that I was able to fix myself. And she flew great. She continued to fly great even after that. I had to sew part of it back together with a needle and a thread too, which I don't recommend doing that.
So
Yeah.
I always ask everybody this: what was your most frustrating part of learning how to fly paramotors?
Ooh, that is a good one. Man. So before I was familiar with the way two strokes worked, I've worked on plenty of like engines in my day, but I've never I feel like there's a couple things you need to know about two strokes, like making sure you mix your oil properly. Using the right oil is really, really important. I was using Royal Purple for a really long time, and I hear it's good in some things like boats, but in paramotors, I don't think it can handle the heat or something because I had a lot of carbon buildup. So I had to tear my motor apart a lot to decarbonize the piston rings. So yeah, I mean that's a good example. But yeah, go
But I
ahead.
mean, as far as the process goes, what was the most frustrating part of the process? Was it kiting? Was it the initial flight? Was it sourcing gear? What would you say as far as the process was the most hard or difficult part of the process?
Yeah, that's a good question. I would say probably when you put it all together is probably where it gets really hard. It took quite a bit of practice with my wing actually running with my gear to build up enough confidence to take off. And obviously that's really tiring. I must have done that like 15 or 20 times before I actually took off. Just hooked into my harness with my motor off, just wing, like inflating wing, practicing running. Like that was pretty hard. Kiting, I actually had a lot of fun doing that because I'd make a day out of it. I'd go to the beach with like a cooler and some drinks and stuff and just kind of hook my harness and wing up and just hang out there with my wing, kiting it around. So I actually enjoyed that part, but that definitely was really time consuming for sure.
Sure.
I've always heard the saying when it comes to training, you get what you pay for. And if you don't spend it on training, you're going to spend it on frustration and damaged equipment. You seem to kind of be the exception to that. You said you hadn't had many incidences. Have you had damaged gear or bought the wrong thing because you didn't get training first?
Yeah, I'm definitely not the exception to that. So one thing I've heard something very similar. What you don't pay for in training, you're going to pay for in broken props. And I have a garage full of broken props that I can show you. I think I'm on number 5 now. Only 3 of them were, or only 2 of those props I actually broke doing something on accident, like tripping or crashing into something. The other 2 were just like weird freak.
Yeah, stuff happens too, you know.
I broke one on a trailer. I'm really mad about that. I had it on my cargo carrier on the back of my car. And I was going through a school zone and hit a speed bump, and my paramotor flexed into my prop and snapped it. So I'm still about that. But yeah, I did go through. I went through 2 props, learning the ropes, so to speak. Tripping, landing the wrong way. My Nirvana cage, like after I bent it, which I'll be happy to get into. I bent my Nirvana cage on a landing one time. And after that, it had a hard time staying into the fiberglass chassis that they have. It just wouldn't stay like clipped in. So one day I was coming in for a landing, and the prop cage popped out of the fiberglass and hit my prop, which was still spinning. So I lost a prop that way as well.
Hey, real quick, I was just on the chat looking at who's there, and we had the Aviator show. And then Kent Stamey just sent us $10. So thank you very much. We appreciate you.
It's awesome. Hey, I have to say, when I met Jordan at Swanee Parafest, he was one of the few guys that were out there in the middle of the day when it was gusty and windy. But JP was one of them. They would fly what I call more advanced level conditions. You would never have thought this guy, he trained himself. He built his own paramotors because he looked to me like he had the right training. He knew what he was doing. He was flying in conditions that. What's that?
Did I meet Jordan?
Well, he was there at Swanee. I don't know if you met him personally,
Where
but y'all were kicking the soccer balls at the same time.
Yeah, I remember the soccer balls. Yep.
Was he parked to the left of us?
I was kind of in the middle of all the trailers. I couldn't.
Were you on a Viper at one point with a Speedster also?
I might have. I flew a couple wings while I was there. I can't.
I think I remember seeing you.
I know I've got him. He's in some of the background shots.
Okay.
You'll know me by the red Mac pair. I think I'm the only one there with a big red, like solid red wing.
Okay. Did you try out that trailer at all that was parked behind everything?
Try out the trailer.
The
flatbed.
Oh yes, I did. Yeah, I had to foot drag that thing. It was just like
everybody had to. Yep. Was begging for it.
Yep. I know the guy that left it there.
I was talking to him the night before. He brought that to be foot dragged. He was talking about
He's gonna-
mounting. He was gonna mount a GoPro to the front or back of it or something, and do a time lapse of how many people foot dragged it over the course of the weekend.
He's going to be down there in Lake Wales with me in February. We're taking the SIV. He's going to be in my class. Scott.
Nice. Very cool.
I have a question, but listening to y'all talking, a question came through my head. So I'm just, thinking about my own nerves and stuff like that too, but self-training. So you haven't had any training at all with anyone other than just reading the Bible and watching tons of videos and talking to some people, but that's it, right?
Before my first flight, yes. Since then, I've continued, I'm always learning from other people. So since then, especially in my first 100 hours, when I had met enough people to be, I was consistently flying with other people at that point. Once I started flying with other groups, I started to rapidly pick up more information that honestly, I think I should have known to begin with, which is why my biggest recommendation is to not try it by yourself. Just before your first flight, find somebody else who does it. Find a good source of information. Be careful who you listen to as well. Make sure the person you're listening to isn't completely full of crap.
That what he said right there.
There's a lot of misinformation and a lot of dangerous things that float around inside the community sometimes from people giving bad advice and not exactly knowing what they're talking about. And honestly, I'm guilty of that too. I've done it before when I was too new to know that I didn't know anything. There's a term for that. It's the I forgot. I'll remember in a second.
Jordan, you're not supposed to give away my trade secrets. That's how I get students. I purposefully go on Facebook, give them bad information so that way they come to me to get the right information. It's a sales tactic, and you're telling everyone how I do it, and I don't appreciate it.
I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry.
We've all seen those give advice and try to get students or people in the air, and well, it's scary. Let's just say.
Do you mean it's the same advice that shows up on every crash incident page that says that you should have had a crumple zone, a different shaped wing that's red and white?
If I hear crumple,
no, I'm thinking of just at Swanee. I seen it. Not Swanee, at Vail, North Carolina. There was somebody teaching someone how to fly for the first time, and I'm like, all right, good luck. Hope it all works out.
There was a video of that, wasn't there, Shane? Video floating around of that.
I don't know.
So,
I was too busy drinking.
So when you start designing a paramotor, Jordan, what characteristics do you as a pilot take into account? What are you looking for? Are you looking for torque compensation? Are you looking for comfort? Are you trying to mix them together? Strength? How do you come about your design?
Yeah, I mean, just a well-rounded mix of everything, honestly. There's no use in having a ton of power if it's so annoying, the torque turn is so annoying that you can barely fly it. In addition to that, you want to make sure everything is mounted correctly. One of the issues I heard from this frame, off the guy I bought it from, he was having a lot of issues where his motor, he said, he felt like it was pushing on the back of his head, and if he gassed it too much, he could feel it tipping forward. And that's
is that a redline frame, a titanium redline frame?
So this is an Airfur frame. It is the Airfur. Let me look this up. Drog.
I had a student that had one look extremely similar to that, and I found that characteristic when I flew it too. If I did a wing over and then went into power in the wing over, it would push me head down into the wing over.
Really?
It felt really uncomfortable.
Okay, so this is the Airfur Duran. I've heard a similar complaint off of the guy I bought it from. From what I understand, I think his motor just wasn't mounted correctly. He had a friend build it for him or something along those lines. I don't think he ordered it with the motor. So somebody else had mounted it. And I think that they mounted there's something that you want to be really concerned with when you're building your own paramotor, the center of thrust and the ratio of your center of thrust to the center of gravity. You want to make sure that your thrust is centered in just such a way where when you're hanging from your harness, your center of thrust and the way you're pulling on the paramotor doesn't cause you to lean back or lean forward too far. You want to be just right in the middle.
Yeah, you want to have a straight through thrust line and not have an asymmetric geometry.
Yeah, I mean, to a certain extent, you can adjust a lot of that in if you have J bars where you attach your hang points on your J bars.
Right.
But from what it sounded like, his issue was that his motor was mounted, his center of thrust was too high, so it was kind of like the center of the frame was here, his motor center of thrust was up here, and it was kind of pushing downwards because every time he thrust.
Right. Correct. Yeah. So what we did was we actually measured the prop distance between the prop and the hoop at the top, the bottom, and then both sides. So we got all north, south, east, west measurements, and the propeller was in the very center of the hoop. So it wasn't that it was a misplacement of the engine. It was just like you were saying, that the hang point versus the thrust line wasn't in line. It was like the motor sat above the actual hang point. So then when you gave thrust, it gave this tipping motion instead of being straight in line, giving a pushing motion.
Yeah, that's exactly what they described. There's a couple things you can do to compensate for that. For me, I had to choke my harness up a little bit. So you can control how, depending on what type of harness you have, I have a dudek. You can control how high or low your harness is on the rig with just a couple straps. You tighten them to slide it upwards, and you loosen them to slide it downwards a little bit. Mine is all the way up. They're as high as you can go. So I think it's, my setup is pretty much just perfect. My center of thrust is just very, very slightly above my where my hang points would be. So I notice almost there's no pitch. There's no pitching action from me getting on or letting go of the gas.
Okay, that's good.
So you said you built 2 paramotors. Do you still have both of them? I see one in the background.
So I have this one. I sold off my other one. I do have pictures of my old one. If you guys want, I can pull that up and show you. I'll kind of show you where I started and where I am now. So let me see if I can get that open.
All right. While you're doing that, Brian, is there any way that you can shout out everybody that's on the super chat, please?
What time is it?
Yeah.
Is it time for the Lazy Susan?
We are going to be
7:33.
making sure that everybody is in the spinny thing here in just a moment, because we got a couple of things that we're going to be giving away.
Is that
All right, so I
a
see.
rodeo?
Okay, yeah. So this is where I started. I took the first picture after I had already crashed it once. So if you notice, the cage pieces down there are a little bit tweaked from my first butt landing. So this is the Nirvana Calibri. They don't make this anymore, or they don't. I shouldn't say they don't offer it with this engine anymore. The chassis is still the same design from what I understand. But so this is the Radney Racket 120, I think is how you say it. It's a 120 cc. It's like 13 horsepower or something like that. It's definitely low on the power. This was my first mistake getting this. If I was interested in a Nirvana, I should have gone with the Rodeo at the time. Now, after I'd flown this thing quite a bit, I got rid of the motor. I sold it off to somebody on Facebook who was doing their own custom build. And then let's see. Let's go to my next one.
Real quick, John Wayne has donated $19.99 in the super chat. Thank you very much. That's definitely going to help us send out all of our gifts that we're going to be giving away here in just a moment. So make sure everybody has said something in the super chat, so JP can put you in the spinny thing. Thanks again, John Wayne. Oh, and by the way, your shirt's in the mail from 2 weeks ago.
All right, then yeah, let me get on to my next frame here. So what I upgraded to, this is the same chassis. You can see I've replaced the bottom 2 hoop pieces. Those were kind of expensive. Prior to this, I had spliced the aluminum tubing. This is all aluminum, by the way. I had spliced the aluminum tubing with just some JB weld and some other pieces of pipe. I just shoved the tubing into the splice, put a bunch of JB weld in there, and that actually held up pretty well. I just decided one day I just got tired of it looking ugly, so I replaced these bottom 2 hoop pieces. And then the motor that I ended up putting on here was this is a Symons. I forgot. Oh yeah, it's a 202. It's a 202 cc. So I bought this off of a buddy, a local guy who sells a lot of stuff, a lot of wings, a lot of paramotors and parts. His name's London Ivy. He's a really good source of information and stuff if you're in Central Florida.
Oh, London's an awesome guy.
Yeah, that guy's absolutely fantastic. I wish there were more people in the community like him. We could use less Delshanzis and more London Ivies, I think.
Absolutely.
But so I bought this motor off of him. I think it had like 100 or so hours on it already when I bought it, but that wasn't that big of a deal to me. So from here, you can. I don't know if anybody recognizes that reduction system right there. That's from a Fresh Breeze.
Fresh Breeze. I was gonna say that looks like a Fresh Breeze drive.
This is a Simonini 202 from a Fresh Breeze. I bought the Nirvana exhaust to slap onto it. Nirvana has this custom exhaust that they make with like a little flex pipe. I actually think it sounds kind of good. I like the way their exhaust sounds. And then after this, this was much more well suited to my weight. This had enough power to kind of satisfy me. The issue I had with this was that there was, especially because it doesn't have weight shift, there was no way to compensate for the torque steer. So it generated a lot of torque steer on takeoff that I had to compensate with, either with trim or just using brakes on takeoff. But this got me through. This rig right here got me through my next 100 or so, 150 hours, I think.
Now that Nirvana, that's a high hang point, right?
I believe so. Yeah, I believe it is a high hang point.
It doesn't have like articulating arms on it. The carabiners come from above your shoulders.
No, I don't. Actually, it does. It does. Yes. I don't think I have any pictures of it, but if I remember correctly, it does. So this didn't require a lot of modifications because Nirvana offers the Rodeo, which has a Simonini on it. The only difference between the Calibri and the Rodeo is that there's a bracket down on the bottom towards where the spark plug is that the Rodeo uses. And I had to remove the fuel tank and drill some holes in the fiberglass to get that to mount. That was really the only. I had to buy a couple brackets, drill a couple holes, and then that was it. It was pretty easy to adapt it.
That's because that the motor mounts from the head, right?
It does. I don't know exactly how to describe it, but yes, you were correct. So on the bottom, there are two bolts that go into the cylinder head cover, the head, and then you basically put motor mounts into that, and then those motor mounts go into a bracket, which then go into one bolt that goes into the chassis. Now on the top side, on the crankcase, there are two more bolt holes that go into another bracket, and that bracket goes into two more motor mounts, and then those motor mounts go into the plastic one more time.
So I have a fun, interesting short story about learning about how that motor mounts and the reason why I ask. So I have a friend of mine that flies a flat top with that exact motor on it. And he was having issues with the electric start. And so he had the motor on and off of the frame a half a dozen times trying to get the wiring figured out. It was always constantly killing batteries. He'd take a full battery, get 2 or 3 starts, and then the battery would be dead. He'd fly around, it wouldn't charge. He's having all kinds of problems. So one day he comes out to the flying field. He tells us, he's got it all sorted out. He's thumbs up, big smiles. He's ready to go fly. So we lay out the wings, fires up his motor, gets it on his back. Everyone smiles. He gets up into the air, takes off, gets about 400 feet, and the entire engine fell off of his frame. Fell to 400 feet to a grass field below. He wound up gliding down. What had happened is he had failed to use any Loctite on the bolts, and so when he put the motor back on, he just put it all back on quickly and didn't actually do a complete job. And so it only took him 400 feet worth of flying before all the bolts vibrated out and the whole motor disassembled itself from the paramotor.
Yeah, man. All of the issues I hear with like mechanical problems in flight after somebody had worked on it, it's that same story every single time. They were in a hurry to do something. They didn't tighten bolts enough. They didn't use the right stuff. Like I not only use Loctite, but I use compression washers.
Lock washers.
I'm having a mind blank here. I use lock washers on all the stuff that's supposed to have lock washers. I don't really. I'm supposed to be torquing certain bolts to a certain spec, especially like the engine bolts, but I don't have torque. I don't have a torque wrench. I probably should.
Type
for the
plus
critical-
half, right? Type plus half.
What was that? What was that, Brian?
For the critical nuts and bolts, you can also use some bright colored paint on the outside, so you can tell if it's turned at all. Just a visual check.
Yep.
Yeah, some good torque mark paint.
What I'm actually more concerned with. I'm concerned with over torquing it. So, you know, the whole combustion chamber is all aluminum. Aluminum likes to expand when it gets hot. It's a little bit more brittle than most metals. So, what I'm worried about is putting a torque too powerful on it, and as it heats up, it doesn't. You know, it's tightened down so tightly that it just cracks. So
Right.
you can go too loose, but you can also definitely go too tight. You have to watch out for that as well.
Hey, real quick,
Right.
can we get a screenshot, guys?
Uh-oh.
Everybody ready?
No,
Smile.
wait.
This will be our thumbnail, and Linda will use it.
Mark
To
is
share.
going, so I guess he's just gonna have to have his.
Screenshot.
his
He's
shirt on.
coming. Hey, go get the little boy.
Oh man.
Fix our hair. Fix our hair.
While
Gotta do
while
that,
we're trying to
gotta
get
do the
Mark,
countdown.
while we're trying to get Mark a.
He's going
Brian-
to his own. He doesn't want to take it with me. He's coming.
All right, no problem. Okay, right after the screenshot, Brian, go ahead and shout out everybody, and then we're going to be spinning here in a moment. All right. Thumbs up.
All
Thumbs up.
right.
There.
I can't see myself. There I am. Hey, there I am. Half of me is gone.
Woo, you got skinny. That no sugar diet's working.
Oh man, I tell you.
All right,
How long are we
somebody
supposed to hold this?
I know, right? Who's the director?
Are we finished? Was that it?
3, 2, 1, go, go, go.
Exactly.
I hope so, JP.
We're
I
good.
hope so.
We
We're
done?
good.
Okay.
We're
Hey,
good.
Brian, can you shout out everybody in the chat before we spin the
Yeah,
spinning wheel, please?
I'll go through the top ones I see here. I see Bill H, Hank Lynch, Never Trust a Skinny Chef Shane, Kent Stanley, Mark H. We got Kelvin Ferguson, David Wolf, John Wayne, Shannon Brooks,
Yeah.
and
I don't know if you guys saw the recent pictures that Shannon put up, but the stuff he's
Bill
doing is fire. That
Hank Lynch,
Meadows.
Kent Stanley, I said already.
medicine he's got is good.
Aaron Safka. So sorry if I missed you. Plainfield PPG, UFO Paramotor or powered paragliders. And
And Eric
Thanks,
Farewell
Mark-
was in the
Mark Farewell.
chat. Shout out to Eric Farewell.
Yes.
Good job, Brian. Good job.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sure I missed a few. Aviator Show was in there briefly.
Yeah.
Yay.
I have to say that I was a very adamant Aviator Show watcher before I became a pilot. So thank you, Eric, for all that stuff.
He taught me how to fly.
If look at the spinning wheel. If JP, you want to put the spinning wheel back on real quick. If your name is not on there, let us know because
Oh,
in about a minute.
Walter, add Walter.
Oh, Walter.
Don't
He
forget
just joined
about
in.
The Aussie.
Walter's an honorary winner though, because he can't actually win anything.
We have to ship it to Australia.
I'll tell you what, we'll send it POD.
Oh, your Dansky's just showed up.
Oh, good. Of course, it's 7:45. They want to win the shirt.
Yay.
Okay,
Yeah,
so tonight
viewership
we're gonna
always goes up for about 15 minutes and then drops off drastically.
I'm sure looking at
After
this
we
one,
give away the
what's
shirts.
out
and what is our thumbnail or what is our thumbs up to people watching? Is that a good ratio?
We got 30 in the chat. We got 17 thumbs up.
Right
Oh,
on.
that's not enough. Come on, you guys.
there?
Thumbs it up. Thumbs it up.
Any
Thumb
thumbs
it
up
up,
definitely
thumb it
helps
up.
us out, and we totally appreciate you guys.
Why is Paraswag USA on there twice and I'm not on there?
If you haven't thumbs up, if you got to tell us in the chat if you thumbs up. If you haven't thumbs up, I'm gonna take your name off the list.
Let's see those thumbs.
Where's the
Oh, Amy.
thumbs up? I'm teasing. I only saw it once. I gotta
Okay.
Chat.
You gotta close out the chat if you're on your phone to see the thumbs up.
Yeah. Yeah. Good
All
job.
right. Real quick, before we spin, JP, can you take that down? I'm going to show our sponsor real quick, or one of our sponsors real quick. That way you
Hey,
can.
thank you. $10 for your damn keys.
Yay.
Oh, thank you. You are really helping us out, being able to get all these things out to people. So I totally appreciate you. Let me go ahead and share my screen real quick. So we have two things that we're going to be giving away today. One is a gift certificate from great3d.com. They do a lot of custom carbon fiber cutting and 3D printing. And one of the things that, if I still have it on here, where is it? They have carbon fiber prop plates and prop spacers. Now, JP, you have one? Is that correct?
I have one.
No,
I
want
have
one.
the prop. I have the prop spacer and the prop flange, and they're very
What do you
very
think
nice.
about it?
Very nice. I would buy them over and over and over again if I needed to.
Okay, so that is one of our sponsors for tonight. The other sponsor is Mark and Amy George. They run Paraswag USA. Mark, can you tell us a little bit about your company and what we're giving away tonight? Or Amy, I don't care. Mark is on mute. Come on, Mark.
He's giving away a lovely Paraswag USA t-shirt tonight.
Mark's technically challenged.
It's going to be t-shirt will be much.
Yeah.
No, I was double muted. Can you hear me?
Now we can hear you. Okay.
You were double muted. Was that like
Double
for extra
muted.
protection?
Yeah, it's a double bagger.
You really have
Thanks,
that
hers
much
comes
to say-
off.
You really have
You're-
that much to say about us? You got to double mute yourself?
That's
Goodness
right.
gracious.
That's right.
Oh my
That's right.
God.
I don't want anything to slip.
Your microphone is like really super loud.
It's because he was double muted.
He's double
Now he's
loud.
double loud.
Poor Marky Mark. Oh my God. But look at
So
Amy,
go ahead and
Fair Chick. She's on it. Look at her.
See, the
Yeah.
thing is,
Yeah,
he's
Amy,
from
while
Texas.
he's-
Everything's bigger in
while
Texas.
he's trying to
which
figure out
means
his
he's gotta be
microphone,
louder, too.
Amy. While he's trying to
Yes.
figure out his microphone, Amy, can you tell us about Pear Chick Pies real quick? And,
All
the-
right,
and,
Parachute Pies.
how you're
got-
donating to Resurgence PPG?
Yeah, it got started from when you did a veterans show honoring the veterans, and so we were talking about things we could do, and so I thought, well, we're going to Quintana, and it's going to be a fly-in honoring veterans as well. So I'll do some pies and help raise some money. And for Resurgence PPG, I still would like to try to raise enough money to sponsor 2 new pilots to go through school. And that came about doing the Parachick Pies website. And on Facebook, they won't change my name, so I have to make a new Facebook page. But right now it's the Chocolate Armadillo. And because of you and Shane, I now have a YouTube channel, The Parachick. And I did my first
Ooh.
Valentine's treat #1 yesterday. And in the oven, we're baking some lovin' for our second Valentine's treat, trying to make it nice and easy for Valentine's Day coming up.
Love it.
Now, real quick, just so everybody knows, each person that Resurgence PPG puts through, that's about $7,000, and you want to put 2 people through, you're trying to raise $14,000, right?
That's going to be my ultimate goal. Yes.
Awesome.
So,
Awesome.
yep.
So you're really
It'd be
good.
wonderful.
I like that.
Amy,
Mark, did you want to say anything about your Paraswag USA before?
I don't know. Can you hear me?
We can hear you now. This sounds good.
All right. Does it sound good when I go paraswagusa.com?
Not as good as it usually does.
Oh, well, I've messed with the mic because Miss Thing over here wanted her own YouTube channel. So we had to do some videos and I had to jack all my video equipment up. So now it's all needs to be reset and I got to figure it all out. It took me 3 months to figure it out the first time.
Now you just sound like PPG Grandpa on just regular,
That's
headphones.
right. Hey, I didn't want to upstage you on your own show, man. I was like, that's got to stop. So
I have
But anyway-
a disclaimer to make real quick. I did not tell you to mess with your big mic. Okay.
That's what she said.
All right, we
Know
got
what
the
they say
spinning wheel
about
So
going.
yeah,
right
we're
now,
giving away a
guys.
shirt, paraswagusa.com. We carry frames, different PPG gear. Check us out. We're doing some contracts on some new items that we're going to be giving away. We're going to be on our Paramotor Nation next month, and we're going to be revealing those items that we're going to be carrying. So definitely be stay tuned and check that out with David. Moore.
Really, we're not going to reveal it here on this show. Okay, I see how it is.
Well, he got to me first.
All right.
Hey, how about this? I'll make a deal with you. I'll do one on his show and one on your show. How's that?
Hey, all right.
Fair enough.
That works.
There you go. You're awesome, Mark.
Tonight we got a gift certificate to great3d.com and we got a Paraswag USA t-shirt. What should we spin for first, or should the first person that win gets to choose? Let's do that.
What's that JP's typing? I can't quite read that.
This
David
show
who?
is-
Compare what? This show is better.
Oh.
Hey, it's only better because JP's on it.
Hey, I'll drink to that.
All right, so what we'll do is we'll spin, and whoever wins the spin gets the choice between a gift certificate and a t-shirt.
Hey,
Hey,
guys
Sean.
ready?
I
Here
can
we
get
go.
any rock.
JP,
The
spin
girl.
whenever you're ready, brother.
All right. Wait, hang on one second.
Brown chicken, brown cow.
Shane, what you want to say, Shane?
Girls rule.
Shane?
Yeah, Sean, people that gave money in the chat, in the super chat, should they be on the wheel twice?
I'm already ahead of you, Shane. It's already done.
All
There we
right, just
go.
checking.
So basically, the wheel's rigged for tonight. Is that what you're saying?
Well, I feel like
So you have to pay to play.
There's got to be an
Oh.
incentive.
just like college football.
That's
Hey,
right.
if
Just
you want it to
remember-
be even, if you want it to be fair, you got to donate. That's all I'm saying.
So if we give
There's-
5 times, do we get our name on there 5 times?
yes.
Absolutely.
No.
Wow.
Yes, no.
Just want to let you all know too that with the donations, I was able to get a stamps.com. Oh, you can't see nothing with this, can you? My background is awful. Stamps.com. I'm able to, I got a scale and everything. So we're going to be able to send everything out from here immediately. Matter of fact, we're going to be printing our own shirts here in a little bit. So we'll be able to give out some Clear Prop TV shirts also. Hopefully a lot. And the more donations, the better, because we have more money to, make these t-shirts, graphics design, and send them out. So we're just trying to break even on all this stuff, and we appreciate you guys. Whenever JP is ready, we can spin
Do
the
it.
wheel, and whoever
And that will.
and Jordan Anger
my
also
God.
said that he can stay on here all night long. So
All night.
You can do it all night long.
not
Wow.
long.
Right, now I've got all night.
4 in the morning, I'm down.
Ooh, I didn't
Hey,
put
come
Jordan in
on.
the wheel.
Don't you have any of those Paraswag USA stickers left?
Yes.
I
I've
wish
been
somebody
giving
would have
those
put that sticker in that box with that pod.
There was one in the
I
pie.
gave you a sticker.
No.
Yes, sir.
Oops,
there was
he
one
threw
in
it
the
away.
pie.
He
Honey!
threw it away on accident.
It was there.
I
I
put
can't
that
read
in
the
box.
name. I can't
All
read.
right.
Did you eat the sticker, Shane?
He ate the sticker
It was
too.
kind of chewy. I didn't know if that was
Is it going to be JR Paramotor?
Ooh.
Oh, my screen froze up.
Did it freeze or did it?
It froze.
Paramotor, there it goes.
Eric
No,
Lear.
Eric Lear.
Oh,
Eric
Eric
Lear all night.
Lear.
Wait a minute.
Maybe
It could be
it'll be Ben
Paramotor.
Lorenzini.
It might be Ben. If it keeps going, Ben will win.
It's
Blow
Eric.
on
I think
it.
it's
Eric.
Blow on it.
Eric. Eric.
Eric or Jade wins all the time.
Eric
all right, Eric.
Lear.
You in the chat, man?
What T-shirt does he get if he gets a choice?
Well,
you can have this one.
Oh,
I only have.
Mark H just gave $20. Thank you, Mark.
Oh, Mark H.
Yay!
Put him on twice.
Mark
He
H.
gets to.
You gotta send him a Fly a Latte shirt.
There you
There
go.
you go.
Walter said rigged.
Yeah, I see that.
Hey, Sean, I'll give my shirt away.
Right now.
What do you?
There you go.
Oh my God.
All I have is a large T-shirt. So if it's any other size other than a large,
All
Mark
right,
will have
Eric
to send
confirms
it
he's
out.
still there. He says thank you.
All right. So
Okay.
Eric,
Right
hey,
now.
Eric, in the chat, real quick, what size do you need, please?
Let me see what size this is.
Because that will lead us to know who's going to be.
Oh,
Oh,
no.
wait a minute. Do you want the shirt or do you want the gift certificate? That's what we need to ask. And if it's the shirt, what size? You have 20 seconds.
He said
Ding, ding,
More
ding.
delay
He
than
did
that.
say
Ding,
sweet
ding,
thank you.
Ding,
Bum,
ding, 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 ding.
bum, 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 bum.
Hey,
I'm
now-
Enough time for
Good
Oh,
reply.
I'm sorry.
Eric's-
answers
He needs
must
a
be
large.
written in
Okay,
front of
Eric
me.
says that he needs a
large.
large. I do have a large here. Do you want the shirt or do you want the gift certificate? The gift certificate's for $25.
So we start another 20-second clock now.
Ding, ding, ding.
Gift certificate.
Oh, he wants the
Said
gift certificate. All right.
Is it?
All right. So, Eric, do me a favor. Email me at ppggrandpa@gmail.com. And I just have to email you this. So I'll just email you back because it's a code. It's not an actual certificate, even though it should be a certificate, but it's just a code. And we will be giving away these certificates over the next couple weeks. So make sure you come back. Anybody that has donated gets 2 ticks on the wheel, of course. And so the next one is going to be, wait a minute, Amy, are you giving away your shirt now? Is that what
No,
we're
she
doing?
ain't giving away her shirt.
Because if we're going to give away your shirt right now, we should spin for your shirt first.
You wanted me to give it my shirt?
You said you were going to. I'm just asking. Are we really doing it? Are we
Are we
spinning?
short shirts?
What's that?
Are we short shirts?
Is this a family-friendly show or?
I'm sure she's not going to give the shirt off her back. I thought.
Oh,
she was
I
talking.
thought I
Oh,
misunderstood.
literally my shirt.
No,
Yeah, I thought it was the shirt she was wearing.
Sean, we gave you literally every shirt we had left.
Really? Okay, so I have
Yes.
one large shirt left.
Well, unless you want this one.
We'll just give it away. This.
Are you gonna
large
sign
shirt
it?
that I have.
Yes, I will sign it.
So you're going to give away your Parachick Pie shirt?
Walter said he will pay $3,000 to get that shirt.
Swag USA, but I will sign it for Parachick Pies. I'll sign Parachick
I believe it.
for Swag USA.
That's so funny. All right.
Where is the gift certificate to? You mentioned it's a $25 gift certificate.
It's a gift certificate to great3d.com.
Okay.
And they're the ones that make the carbon fiber prop plates and prop spacers and a bunch of other things. All right. So we are going to give away the t-shirt that you gave me or give away the t-shirt that you got. What do you want to do?
Okay.
Whenever you're ready. Let's spin the spinny wheel.
Who, me?
JP, our tech guy.
Let's do it.
And
3,
while
2, 1,
we're-
spin.
And while we're waiting, we can hear a joke from Never Trust a Skinny Chef Shane if he has one.
Not right now.
Uh-oh.
I don't have a
I
Good
got-
now.
I got a fun dad joke for you.
Go
All right.
for it. We're always
How do you double the value of a Yugo? Fill the tank with gas.
bump. They're not still making the Yugos, are they? I remember back when I was younger, everybody said Yugos are great. They're $3,000 for a brand new car.
You got what you paid for, just like training.
Like training, just
I
like
go,
everything
you go.
else.
Y'all go to you go.
I think
right?
Yugo had the same slogan as the captain. Come buy one and you'll get trained for free.
John Wayne, we just sent you out a shirt.
Oh,
If you already got
man.
it,
Oh,
you're getting another.
Bill H.
oh,
Bill H, are you going to get it?
Bill.
Oh, Bill H.
Come on, Bill.
H.
it's gonna be close.
Oh, it's gonna be close. It's another
It's
close
gonna be
one.
brutally
Come on,
close.
Bill. Come on, Bill.
Oh, so close.
Bill's in the house.
Bill.
Billy!
Oh my goodness.
Hey, Bill won.
So much stuff. Bill H,
Yeah.
are you in the house?
He was
And do
chatting
you
earlier.
need
I bet he is.
and do you need a large t-shirt?
Hey, don't worry about Hey, I just was writing notes. Take your hand t-shirt. Go ahead and give that one away to somebody else.
What'd you say, Mark? You were
Yeah, he lives down the road from us. We'll get it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Bill lives down the road from us, so we'll take care of him.
Bill H confirms.
Cool.
He says I won.
Yay.
Small world in the paramotor community.
Yay.
Yeah.
It really is.
It's
Hey, I feel
amazing.
like
It's amazing how many people we have that live within a 3-hour radius of us.
That's like complete opposite of Walter that lives in Australia. You just drive this one down the road.
Well, I have a question for you. Since I still have another large T-shirt, do I keep that or do we spin again?
I say we spin again and give it away, right?
I do too.
Okay, so how about this? Let's continue with our podcast in a half an hour at 8:30. We'll spin for another T-shirt.
Okay, I gotta say one thing, Brian. Go
What's
Alabama!
What? Oh, that's terrible. War Eagle.
Hmm.
Do you spin for stickers or no?
No.
Stickers just go with
The shirt?
the
Merch.
shirt.
I'm just asking because I know the one show we were spinning for stickers also. Just saying.
I guess we could. I got, stamps.com stuff. It shouldn't take too. I could put the stamp
Do it.
on
Hey,
the
you can
sticker.
send them to anybody, but don't send them to Walter because it'll cost a freaking fortune.
Oh, poor Walter.
I know, poor Walter.
Hey,
No.
Walter. Hey, Walter, do me a favor. Send,
He's like the misfit. Like
Walter-
I'm an Aussie. Yeah.
Walter, send me.
She's getting all sad on us.
We need to send
Poor Walter.
a sticker.
Walter, I'm curious to see how much it'd cost to send you something. So send me an email to ppggrandpa@gmail.com with your address. I want to see how much it costs to send you something. Why not, right?
Oh,
That's
geez.
right. Heck yeah.
I mean, look at the donations. I mean,
He is here every show.
I mean,
You know what? I just had an idea. Maybe they have a flat rate shipping to Australia and we can just pack up a big box for them at one shipping rate.
We said that once
know.
before, but it never happened.
Oh, we'll
who's
look
gonna be
into
in
it.
charge?
Brian Waller was over that.
Oh, hey, Bale. He bailed on that too. Okay.
I'm not sure what I missed out on here. I was reading the chat.
I don't know. All right,
You talking about me?
Jordan.
I heard my name.
Back to you, my friend. One of the things that we were talking about also for an hour on the phone. I mean, I can't believe how much we talked. We should have recorded that because that right there is a whole hour podcast. We just should have recorded it. Jordan, you're still on mute, by the way. And so one of the things that we were talking about too is that you are going to be. Oh, wait a minute. First of all, congratulations, Dad.
Thank you.
What?
Sean Symons over here, our PPG grandpa. I like him. I just found out I'm going to be a PPG dad.
All right.
Yay.
Our due date
Very
is
nice.
sometime in July. This far out, it's always a little bit up in the air, but early July.
Awesome. dude.
Up in the air. I love it.
Up in the air. Pun
There you go.
intended.
My little baby is going to be up in the air. I love it. So it sounds like he's going to be a paramotor, or she's
Yeah.
going to be a paramotor peep soon too.
Hey,
So
Maybe
congratulations, Dad.
age. How soon can somebody fly? Maybe 4 or 5 years old.
fly
get 'em up.
before you walk.
I'll get them up as soon as they want.
They have little remote control ones, right? Just put them on the little remote control one, right?
Oh,
That's not a bad idea. Yeah,
Just get you a papoose and take him up with you.
fantastic idea. Fantastic.
Little papoose? Is that what you said?
You know the baby carriers you put on the front.
So fronts are called papoose.
Papoose.
It's still a
Papoose.
baby carrier.
Yeah.
Okay.
They just make them.
Wait.
Hey, Jordan, they make them now that look like a hoodie jacket and you zip the baby
Yeah.
up in it.
Yeah.
Very
That's awesome.
manly.
That's awesome.
Yeah, they don't
Uh,
like the babies aren't on the back now. The babies
Sounds like something
on
invented
the
in
front
Australia.
by
I've
mom.
seen those. I was hiking in Washington and I saw a couple going up a mountain. Like this is like a 10-mile hike, going up a mountain with the baby just asleep in their backpack. And I was like, that's awesome. That's gonna be my kid. My kid's gonna go on sweet.
Forget you have your baby in there and you just chunk your backpack down when you get to the camp.
No,
Hey,
you
are
know,
we
that's probably
doing
something.
the wheel?
Be careful.
So did they say you were dabbling with some electric paramotor or what?
Yeah, this is what I want to talk about is your electric
Mhm.
paramotor that we're putting together. We're putting together
Are we done with the wheel,
an
guys?
electric paramotor. And one of the things that we talked about too is that it's very possible in the next 5 years that you could have about 2 hours worth of flight. Could you go about how you got into this? And JP, is your hand still raised for something?
Are we done with the wheel?
No, sir. In 30 minutes, we're going to spin again for another shirt.
Okay. Would you guys excuse me for a minute? I'll be back.
Brown chicken, brown cow.
Brown chicken, brown cow. Here we go again.
Hey, it's
Football
30
game,
minutes. Have fun.
Yeah.
30 minutes. What are you going to do for the other 28?
Shane couldn't resist.
I know, right?
There's the joke he was saving for us.
Hey, Mark, you want to go take an hour break with me?
Mm.
Oh. All right, let's talk about electric paramotors.
Yes,
Hey, I
please.
have a question. That thing on the wall there, is that like a sonar device? Is that what that is?
This thing, not
Yes.
quite, although it does make some noise. So this is another project that is finished. I'm just waiting to get my full use out of it. So this is my electric mountain board. It has 2 5-kilowatt motors on the back of it. It produces a ton of torque. I could probably tow a car with it if I wanted to.
Mm.
So the reason I
I want
built
to see that
this,
video.
reason I built this is because we have a trail here in the Tampa area called the Pinellas Trail. It's a roughly 30-mile long, partially paved, partially like dirt trail that goes through our entire county. And I wanted to create a rig that could do the entire trip on one battery charge. So I have this guy. I created this from, scratch isn't the right word, but from parts. I ordered all the parts myself, put it all together. I even made this. I think this little electronics enclosure is probably the coolest thing I did. I basically bought this waterproof aluminum case, which not only keeps the electronics safe from the rain, but it acts as a heat sink. So when you're pumping this much wattage through a board, it produces a little bit of heat. So I have a bunch of heat conductive devices in here that will radiate the heat out of the box through the aluminum chassis. So that's kind of part of my little design right there.
So I guess fins on that box will be next, right? For
Yep,
more heat sink.
Yep.
Yes. But yeah, this is my all-terrain skateboard. Essentially, is what it is.
And how long did you say that trail was?
It's about 30 miles, give or take. I need to look it up exactly, but it's like 30 or 40.
Now,
miles.
is that 30 miles one way, or is that 30 miles round trip?
No, it's one way. It goes from the north end of our county all the way to the south end, and then it loops around.
So you have to do essentially 60 miles.
No, it's just it has a start and a finish. So I'll go
Okay,
from the start
okay.
to the finish, which I believe is about 40 miles.
And you were able to complete the whole thing?
What was
So
it?
I have half a cup of semi-sweet chocolate chips, 2
Yep,
tablespoons
hold
of
on.
butter, and we.
Yeah. So Jordan, you were able to complete the whole 30 miles on one battery charge, like you designed it to do that.
Yeah.
It succeeded.
I haven't yet. I need to do it. It's going to be an entire day thing that I'm going to have to bring backpack for. It's going to take me a while to do it. But I designed it for it, and I've done all the calculations, and it can do it. I'm still in the proving phase. I've put about 30 hours on this thing, and I haven't had any major breakdowns yet. That's what I was looking for. I don't want to break down while I'm on the trail. So I've been proving it. Like I've been testing it in a bunch of different areas to see what kind of issues I'm going to run into before I commit to this really long trip.
And you said that the backpack has the batteries. Is that what you said?
No, I will show you the battery here in a second. Let me grab that.
Now, you say you're studying electrical engineering. You sound like you have a background in mechanical engineering. Oh no, it's gonna fall into the paramotor.
Did he say he's in Tampa?
He also says that he has a Tesla battery selling.
Yeah, he's in Tampa.
Yes, I'm in Tampa. So I have like an electromechanical background, if you want to call it that. As a radar technician, we dealt with a lot of different types of equipment. I had cooling water pumps, I had seawater pipes, I had motors, antenna motors, like that type of thing. So I've seen a lot of it. Like I've seen a variety of different stuff. And I grew up in Detroit, and no self-respecting Detroiter, you either work on cars, you're a Red Wings fan, or like a couple other things, and I'm cars and Red Wings. That's me.
What made you want to build an electric paramotor?
So that, getting into that, because of my background in electronics, you know, I understand the basics, and I understand what the strengths and drawbacks are. When it comes to electric vehicles, I'm super fascinated. Electric transport is definitely like 100% the future. The only reason everybody isn't driving electric cars around right now is because it's cost prohibitive. The cost of the battery holds most people back, because to buy a new electric car, it's gonna they start at like 30 grand. Now, an important milestone that we've reached for electric vehicles in the past couple of years is we've crossed the threshold where now financially it makes more sense from a financial standpoint. If you look at it like that, you will spend less money over the life of the car on an electric car than you will on a gas vehicle, because the cost of the electric vehicle has come down. The amount of savings that you get from not having to change your oil, not having to buy gas, and things like that, will eventually pay for the difference in the car itself. So they're super awesome. They're lower maintenance. They're quieter. They have a ton of advantages. One of the advantages they don't have right now is cost, but that will change too.
Yeah, as solar technology gets better and as battery technology gets better, I can literally envision a day when our wing is a solar panel, the risers are conductors, and you got an electric motor on your back, and you just need a little extra charge to get into the air, and other than that, you just stay up as long as you want.
That'd
be
possible.
freaking awesome.
That is possible. Solar power is another thing I know a little bit about. So the sun gives Earth about 1 kilowatt per square foot. 1,000 watts, that's quite a bit. You can power a microwave with that. But the issue is solar panels right now are only about like 15 to 20% efficient, meaning a square foot solar panel is only going to capture a fraction of that 1 kilowatt, just because we don't have the chemical and electrical technology yet to get 100% of that. There's a little bit of talk about carbon nanotubes being able to do that sometime in the future, but right now we're at, I believe it's about 20% efficiency. But we also hit another really important solar milestone in the past couple of years, where now, because of the dropping cost of solar, it is now less expensive to create a solar power plant than it is a coal power plant. So you're going to see a lot less of those being built and a lot more solar plants being built, which is good, especially in the state of Florida. We could be doing a better job, but I definitely think we're doing pretty good. We're expanding the percentage of our electricity that comes from solar. So,
didn't you say that these electric paramotors right now, with the technology that we have right now, could fly for about an hour and a half? Is that what we said?
So
earlier?
that's kind of from my calculations. There's no paramotor that you could buy that claims an hour and a half right now. But from what I've calculated, if you forego all of the safety features and all of the bells and whistles, you could cram enough batteries onto a paramotor chassis to get you about an hour and a half of flight.
Wait a minute. What are we going to not put in there? I mean, what are the safety features that we'd have to give up?
So when you're dealing with lithium ion batteries, there are some safety concerns. Like you need to shield it to prevent like accidental punctures of the batteries. You don't want just like lithium ion batteries like this. I brought a couple. We'll do a little show and tell. You don't want just bare batteries exposed like this, because they'll get rusty. They can get damaged by flying objects, and if you puncture them, they store a lot of energy, and they're going to rapidly disperse all of that energy in a fraction of a couple seconds, and they do that by bursting into flames. So when you're building a battery that you're going to mass produce and release to the public, there's a bunch of safety things that you need to add to it. Cell balancing computers, thermal overrun protection, and then you need physical protection too. So if I was going to build a paramotor that I was going to sell to the public, you would probably want some kind of aluminum enclosure or something like that to prevent it from prop strikes and things like that hitting the battery. That would be pretty bad, especially when you're flying. But batteries are absolutely safe, assuming that they're designed correctly. And Tesla's cranking out like 1 million some vehicles a year, and they're not perfect. Like one car bursts into flames every now and then, but gasoline vehicles burst into flames all the time too. So if there's any bad accident, there's not a lot they can do to prevent a couple of the cells from from catching on fire, but they've done a lot in their designs to mitigate like a rapid runaway of the whole vehicle burning. So
it sounds like a problem we need to get Elon Musk to address for us.
He is. In fact, he's got it pretty much figured out. You can see all sorts of videos of Teslas getting slammed into walls and the batteries getting hit. And, now they just kind of like don't really do much. They don't burst into flames or explode or anything like that.
Maybe get Elon Musk on the show and talk to us about the
Yeah, we had a comment in the chat. Bob Garber was saying we need to find somebody that flies friends with paramotor friend with Elon Musk and get them into it. Actually, I know somebody, an instructor at Aviator that used to work at SpaceX and knows Elon, but
cool. It's very cool.
I doubt we'll ever get him on the show.
Yeah, I think he's a little busy right now trying to get us to Mars.
Let's save the planet, no big deal.
But yeah, so those safety features come at a drawback, and that drawback is weight. They add a lot of weight. So building that aluminum enclosure, creating the cooling system and all the other electronics that you need with the battery, if you were going to mass produce it and sell it to people, that's why people are only pushing about an hour right now, an hour of flight time. So as I'm starting this tangent of electric paramotors, I'm going to bring up some examples of what is currently available and kind of give everybody a state of electric paramotors update. So the first one I'll talk about.
From what I heard, as far as electric paramotors right now, they only have a 20-minute runtime. Am I incorrect at assuming that?
You can buy some with a 20-minute runtime, but they go all the way up to about an hour. Now you have to take that time with a grain of salt, because what they're doing when they say like an hour of flight time, that means an hour of very relaxed flight. If you're doing a lot of like aerobatic maneuvers and you're on the throttle really hard, it's going to drop. It might drop to 45 minutes or 30 minutes, but theoretically speaking.
Have you ever flown one?
Say that again.
Have you ever flown an electric paramotor?
No, I really want to. I've seen some in person. I've talked to people that have owned some, but I haven't flown one myself. I do know enough about them though to speak somewhat intelligently. So the first one,
Mark. I'm sorry, Mark. Real quick, you sell paramotors. Do you have any access to anybody that is selling or produces electric paramotors?
Well, actually, to be honest, the designer of the Rebel 2 RS, his name is Miro Arslav. He is actually on the team that created the Seed, if you're familiar with that.
Okay.
But I haven't messed with anything. Evo has talked about doing something with electrics, and I have a feeling that is going to stem from him working on the Seed project. So we'll just have to wait and see. I've got 20 years plus in the RC community doing airplanes and helicopters and all that. So I've been toying with the lipos and the lithium ions for a long time, and I've seen destruction. So he's right about, we don't use protection on any of our batteries, but when you get into the RC cars and all that, you'll notice all the RC car batteries are all enclosed in plastic enclosures because they're ramming each other and doing all that. So,
okay, I didn't know that. Real quick, too, anybody on the panel have any access to electric paramotors or seen them in person?
I saw Johnson Q fly one 3 or 4 times last year at Aviator when I was training a year ago. He would go up and fly about 20 to 25 to 30 minutes, come down, change out a battery pack, go back up and fly. I was expecting it to be super quiet. I was kind of surprised it was not much quieter than the other paramotors that were flying over. Most of the noise is generated from a prop, not from the engine when it's flying over. So anyway, I studied acoustics for one thing I did, and I was kind of surprised by that. I thought it would be a lot quieter. But the battery technology is just not there yet to compete with the 2 strokes.
Mm-hmm. Well, anyways, yeah, you're absolutely right. You don't get an advantage when it comes to noise. Obviously, like when you're ground handling, there's no engines running or anything like that, so it's very quiet on the ground. But you still need to wear hearing protection and all that stuff, so you don't get that advantage. That's not one that electric paramotors have. But to kind of start off, the current state of electric versus gas, both have their advantages and both have their disadvantages. So for the average user right now in 2021, gas paramotors are still going to be better. From what I understand, most people that own electric paramotors, it's just a second one that they have that, you know, if they're going to a place and they don't plan for flying very long, they'll bring their electric one every time. You know, they don't have to mix gas. They don't have to do any crazy things like that. They just bring it out, hook their stuff up, and take off. They don't have to start it. They don't have to let it warm up. Nothing. You just, you know, start it and go, and you're good. But like I said, with 30 to an hour flight times, that would deter most people from starting with an electric paramotor. So
are they about the same weight as gas powered, or how much do they weigh?
Some of them are lighter. That's the advantage to buying one with a 30-minute flight time. So some of the really high performance ones, like I think the Exomo and a couple other ones, they give you like featherweight battery options with a really light battery and a really powerful motor. So the weight comparison there would be like, it would be like flying a really light paramotor, like a 120. It would feel the same on your back, but it has the power of a 202 cc. So that's one advantage you get. If you sacrifice flight time, you'll have a much lower weight paramotor with a lot more power. So that's kind of a cool advantage. I could see one really useful situation where that would come in handy is if you're doing competition, like your competition flying, you're not flying very long. You're only up in the air for like a little bit. So you want a lot of power and you want a little bit of weight so that you can do extra maneuvers and things like that. So paramotors would definitely come in, or electric paramotors would come in really handy in that instance. But yeah.
One thing people probably don't know how to think about with electric paramotors is, your air temperature is going to have a pretty drastic effect on your battery life. People that are, flying up north in the snow and that kind of thing, I mean, you might be looking at half the battery life of somebody who's in Florida flying at the same time of the year. It makes a huge difference. Tesla actually controls the temperature of their battery packs to maintain optimal performance. So that's just another type of technology you'd have to look at to make a perfect electric paramotor.
That's true. That's honestly something I didn't even think about. If you're flying in the winter, a full charge in the summer is not going to get you as far as a full charge or vice versa. A full charge in the winter is not going to get you as far as a full charge in the summer. Not only that, but rapidly depleting your battery charge while the battery is cold is bad for the chemistry inside. So you want to prevent yourself from doing that whenever possible. And like Brian was mentioning, electric vehicles have systems in place that will heat the batteries up in those situations.
We got a question in the chat from David Wolf, Paramotor Crazy. Is there a difference between gas and batteries in spinning the prop up and the reaction time? And I can barely see that. Brian, can you see it? Can you read that for me?
Yeah, he wants to know basically, is there a difference in gas and batteries and spinning the prop up, reaction time? Is one better than the others? I mean, he's bringing up the point of instantaneous torque of electric motors.
That's a really good question. Yes, electric is faster. The reason for that is gas paramotors have more rotational inertia. They have more rotating parts, and those rotating parts are heavy. You have a piston moving back and forth. You have all of the crankshafts and bearings and things like that. To go from low RPM to high RPM, you have to spin up a lot of mass in order to do that. So theoretically speaking, if you had an electric paramotor with the exact same amount of power as a gas paramotor, the electric paramotor would be able to achieve a prop RPM quicker than the gas paramotor. That is correct, because there's only one moving part, and it's the motor.
Yeah, if you look at the torque curve for an engine, internal combustion engine, it is literally a curve with a peak and then it drops off. And if you look at an electric motor, it starts out at the peak and it's a flat line. That's the difference between electric motors and gasoline engines.
Yep. That's I think he said his name is David. That's a really good point that I didn't even think about until you mentioned it. That is another advantage right there that you get.
That's why Tesla's made the fastest production model car on the planet right now. I mean, 0 to 60 in 2.7 seconds.
I used to race RC cars, and we used to race inside these AstroTurf inside soccer fields, and we used to race these little electric trucks. And I would take it on the weekends and go out to this dirt track, and this guy used to race his gas combustion race car out there, and I would blow him away on that with the electric. He had top speed on me, but coming out of corners, I had instant torque. I mean, as soon as I come out of a corner, I was gone, and he was having to rev up. You know what I mean? And, you know, something else I wanted to bring up about your battery technology that a lot of people don't know about those lithium, especially the lithium polymer batteries. You have to leave them at a stored voltage. If you don't leave them at a certain stored voltage, it can ruin the batteries as well. Is that not true?
That's 100% true. So this thing included right here has a battery management system on it. Lithium ion batteries need computers with them that will shut the cells off when they, like if you're charging it, they'll cut the cells off from the circuit once the voltage on the cell reaches a certain amount. So once it's fully charged. And then once it's depleted past a certain point, the BMS, the battery management system, will cut off the battery to prevent it from depleting any further. Once it goes below that, there are some chemical reactions inside of the battery that will lower its lifespan. So you don't want to overcharge it, and you don't want to over discharge it for that reason. Now, that's not that much of an issue because the computers are very simple. Computer is kind of a strong word there. It's really just a circuit board with some voltage monitoring circuitry on it and a couple of resistors, and that's really it. So they don't add a lot of weight. The battery management system wouldn't be a very complicated thing to add to a paramotor, but if I was designing one for myself, I would have, instead of having a battery management system on the battery, I would obviously put some kind of circuitry there to shut it off to prevent it from over discharging itself. But you could forego putting a battery management system on the actual paramotor itself by just using a balancing charger when you charge it.
Yeah, that's exactly what we use for our batteries. I use what I call a paraboard and a balance charger, and on the paraboard I can actually do like 6 batteries at one time, and it balance charges each one.
So
things that we get to learn when we go on to PPG Grandpa's Paramotor podcast, like I need some glasses to be able to read the comments a little bit better. Found them. It is 8:30. Do we have JP back, or is he still on vacation?
He looks like he's on vacation. He's trying to prove everybody wrong.
Hey, I saw a question about Pop Strike. Did y'all see that, Brian?
What's that?
Someone asking about Pop Strike with the electric motor.
Yeah, I was going to ask that. I have no idea what the answer is. So Mark H asks, how about safety? Gas will probably stall on the ground strike with the prop hitting. What about electric? Will it just want to keep spinning?
Ooh.
No, you're gonna have the same issue. It's gonna be the same whether you have an electric or a gas paramotor. In fact, I would argue that with an electric paramotor, the prop would stop faster because of that rotational inertia thing. There's less rotating mass, so if the prop hits something, it's able to stop a little bit quicker. While the engine, you have all these engine parts that are spinning along with the prop that also have to come to a stop.
It does bring up a good point I didn't think about. With the internal combustion engine, generally, unless you're going to do a touch and go and you're going to keep going, I always kill my engine on the last part of the landing. So I come in, dead stick. There's no kill button on an electric paramotor. If you have a similar type throttle, it's going to be, 0 volts to X volts, So if you come in and you hit on the ground or something like that, and your hand accidentally squeezes, it's not like your engine's dead. It won't do anything. It will do something. That prop will spin up.
It will try. So here's the beautiful thing about motor controllers. So this, for example, the electric paramotors use a very similar architecture motor. They're just, the specifications are different. They're thinner and wider usually for torque reasons that I can get into later if anybody's interested. But the motor controllers have a bunch of very advanced software on them that monitors the rotation of the motor itself. The motor controller always knows the rotation of the motor and things like that. An advantage that you have in this specific circumstance with an electric paramotor versus a gas paramotor. So you're flying your paramotor. Let's say you're at your full RPM and you realize something's going wrong. You hit your stop button. All it does is cut the spark off. There's enough rotational inertia for that prop to continue spinning for about 1 to 3 seconds. while it bogs down because it doesn't have any spark. Electric paramotors have the advantage where they have kinetic energy recovery. So does a skateboard. This thing has electric brakes that I can use to slow myself down. You can apply that to a prop as well. So if a prop is spinning at full speed, you could make some kind of controller with a brake to instantly stop the prop, like dead stop, like instantly. So in that specific circumstance, that electric prop would be.
Yeah, that's fine when you're in the air, but I'm thinking when we come in and we do our butt landings and our knee landings, and and if you don't have precise control over that throttle, your prop may be stopped already when you're coming in for your landing. But if something happens when you go down and your hand squeezes that throttle, can that prop pick back up?
Didn't even think about that.
It could, but
do all
it
kinds of
could,
stuff
but
wrong.
I would think that if these things are using electronic speed controls, like most of the stuff that we use in the electric motors, you can program these electronic speed controls to do different things. So you could essentially still have a kill switch button on the end, and you can
just have a
program that
lockout
button.
relay.
It would lock it out, and like Jordan was saying, it uses magnets. Most of these are brushless motors, so you're just reversing the polarity, and it's using the magnets as a brake, and it'll instantly stop the prop.
I mean, if your throttle's not tied straight to a speed controller, straight to the motor, you've got some sort of controller in between that's programmable that you can effectively have a stop button. And when you hit that, no matter what you do with the throttle after that, it won't come back on.
Anytime we would set up our helicopters and our airplanes, we had to go through a programming sequence with the electronic speed control, and we could set it to either.
Oh no, we lost Mark.
Mark, I think we lost you, brother. Yeah,
he's going through
Did you lose me? Oh, testing 1 2 3.
There he is.
Testing 1 2 3. Yeah, you could program those ESCs to let the prop free fly, or you can have it stop when you let off the throttle. You can do a number of things with those things. It's pretty neat.
Yes. My skateboard has a feature that I actually had to dial back because it's really annoying. So these motors have what's called Hall sensors in them. They use they're kind of like position. They're magnetic position sensors. The electronic speed controller inside this box can detect the speed of rotation of the motor. And there's this feature where if the ESC detects that the motor is stuck, it will cut off the voltage. So you can apply that to a prop. Let's say you're taking off in the ground and a stick gets stuck in your cage or something like that, and you try to spin your prop, but your prop isn't moving. The speed controller could detect that and theoretically prevent any further gassing of the motor. So I actually had to turn that feature off on my board because it was kind of annoying where I would want to do a burnout, like take off really, really quick. And I would floor it, but it would detect that like the motor isn't spinning fast enough yet. So it would cut the voltage off. And I had to turn that feature off because it was just kind of getting annoying.
Sounds like a new one wheel feature coming up here.
Exactly.
With your thing that you got going on.
I was just about to ask him, do you have a one wheel, and did you take it apart for the fun of it to figure out how it works?
I thought about it. I'm in the market for a one wheel. I'm one wheel curious. We have a guy in the area. I would like to. I'm going to post this stuff in the chat here in a second. His name is Scott Carboni. He's the one wheel guru of Florida, I like to say. He's got a local shop that sells scooters, one wheels, a bunch of different stuff. And I'll post his info in there. He can answer any questions anybody has about one wheels. But yes, on that note, I should get back to the advantages and disadvantages of electric paramotors. So just to go down the list really quick, the advantages are power to weight in certain circumstances. The power to weight is much higher, especially with a smaller battery. Instant torque, those electronic features we were just talking about are all advantages. Setting the battery aside, which has its own safety concerns, the safety is arguably a little bit better. Way less maintenance. You don't have to spend money on gas. The electricity would cost like a third as much as what the gas does. So the electricity is cheaper than the gas. You don't have to buy two-stroke oil. You don't have to mix it. Like I said, way less maintenance. The only maintenance I could ever see you needing to do on an electric motor is after, I don't know, 1,000 hours or so, you probably have to replace the bearings because the bearings are going to get a little bit worn out. but other than that, like they should require virtually none. Battery life is probably one of the questions people have about like electric cars. What is the battery life like? Because back in the day, the old Priuses used to need their batteries replaced every 100,000 miles or whatever because they would get degraded. But that was under a completely different battery chemistry. They used to use nickel cadmium or something along those lines. With lithium ion, you can have 2,000 plus charge cycles. So you charge it up and discharge it 2,000 times before you really start running into any issues with your battery. So, how many hours is 2,000 flights? That's a ridiculous amount of hours before you have to worry about any battery issues.
Exactly. It looks like
Especially for
JP
Sean.
with us to spin the wheel. So if you guys just hold on, whenever JP gets back, we'll spin the wheel for another T-shirt. Sorry, Jordan, go ahead.
Yeah, 35 people in the chat, man. They're hanging on.
Yeah, welcome everybody. Welcome. Hang out with
Hey,
us.
what'd you say Scott's name was? The Scott you were talking about a minute ago, Jordan?
His name is Scott Carboni. Once I get a free hand here, I will post his information in the chat for everybody.
Okay.
Like he's got a shop in the Tampa metro area that I'm sure they'll be happy to ship stuff to anybody that's interested in a one wheel. So one wheels are great. Oh my God, I'm so jealous of the one wheel people at fly-ins because they're perfect for that situation. You got a long row trailer that you'd have to walk otherwise, but like you got a one wheel which can go over the grass no problem. You just hover around talking to everybody, getting beers, doing whatever.
I thought I wanted to get me a one wheel right before I went to Endless Foot Drag, and I about spent the money on it. And I said, you know what, I'm gonna wait. And I went out there. I'm 52, by the way, and so everybody was riding those things all over the place. And I'm like, you know what? Can I try that? And I got on that thing, and I'm like, this ain't for me. I can see hospital bills start stacking up. I can see hospital bills start stacking up. But I seen everybody riding these electric bikes, so I opted out for a bicycle because I can ride a bicycle.
There you
Oh,
go.
man.
I love
JP back, time to spin that wheel.
Stay with the bike.
Hey,
Mark.
your hair's all messed up, JP.
And while JP's getting the wheel ready, Sean in the chat had a question that you addressed. Jordan, are you using LiPo 4 batteries?
For my board, let me get into that. Hold on a second.
Uh-oh.
Hey, JP, we know that you were stalling the other 28 minutes, so don't try to lie.
Got me.
So that's pretty smart of him to ask. I was gonna get into that during my electric paramotor talk, like later in our conversation. But what I'm actually using, these are Tesla from a Tesla 21700 cells. So this is currently what the Tesla Model 3, the Model Y, and I think that's it. The Model 3 and the Model Y use these guys, 21700 cells. So
how many of those things are in a car, you think?
Thousands of them. I got a picture. Let me pull it up. So this is the battery of a Tesla Model 3. They did this teardown about a year and a half ago when they started rolling off the production line. This is what they look like right here. You all can see that, right?
Holy cow.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you're making Sean pretty happy in the chat right now.
The way these are configured, the way the Tesla Model 3 does it is pretty smart. They have these 4 modules right here. Inside of these modules, so when you're making a battery, you'll have some batteries in parallel, some in series. Right. I don't know the exact amount that are in parallel and are in series, but basically these cells or these big battery modules have a bunch of them in parallel, and then those parallel banks, they put a bunch of those banks in series. And they just do that over and over and over and over again until you have like a 400 volt battery.
Yeah, I was thinking it was over 400 volts. It's pretty high.
It is very, very high. Yeah.
Can you show on your screen real quick? It looked like it was a AA battery. Is that about the size of it?
Yeah.
It's a sub C battery, isn't it?
Let me go back.
Oh, just hold it up to on your screen because we could see it.
So essentially, what's inside of those battery packs is thousands of these little guys. They're in a container kind of like this. So what they do is, for example, right here you'd have 3 in parallel. These are all the positive ends of the battery. You hook 3 in parallel, and now it has the same voltage as one battery, but the capacity of 3.
Right.
So what you can also do, you can hook them up in series, which the capacity will remain the same, but the voltage will go up. So positive to negative to positive. Now you have 3 times the voltage, but 1 times the capacity. So in my battery, my skateboard, this is my ultra long range battery. In fact, it's probably better to put this on the floor and bring the camera down to it. So on my longboard, I wanted a battery that could go the entire length of that.
Good old Pelican case.
So I bought a nice Pelican case to keep it all waterproof. And then in here, I have a bunch of those cells.
Wow.
Some of them hooked up in parallel. You can see the parallel rails right here. All of the batteries on this rail are hooked up in parallel. There's 8 of them. And then that rail of 8 batteries is hooked up in series with another rail of 8. So what this is it's an 8 parallel 12 series battery, which with the capacity of these batteries gives me about 2 kilowatt hours, which is for anybody who knows anything about lithium ion batteries, that's a pretty insane amount. My hybrid has a 5 kilowatt hour battery in it. So right there, I'm already almost halfway to what's inside of my hybrid.
Did you vacuum seal those batteries?
No, what you saw there was a Kapton tape. It's a protective, non-conductive tape that you can put over it to prevent anything from contaminating the batteries. So that tape is just kind of there to keep it from any contaminants getting inside of the cells.
Those were 21650s batteries.
21700s. So what you actually were just referring to, this is a 18650 cell right here. You can kind of see it side by side. Here's a 21700. 21700 is a little bit wider and a little bit taller. So the first generation Teslas, Elon Musk came up with a pretty smart idea. He realized that battery manufacturers like LG and Panasonic were cranking like hundreds of thousands of these things out a day for laptops. And he was thinking, like, why don't we just make an electric car out of these? If you hook enough of them up in parallel and enough up in series, you can power a car with it. Bam! That came into the first generation Tesla Roadster, and then now the Tesla Model S's and the Model X's still use these, I believe.
Yes, I use the 18650s or.
Yeah, that looks like a Panasonic right there. A Panasonic 18650.
Yeah,
it looks like a AA battery to me.
It's a little bit bigger than that.
Yep.
But it's in my e-cig. There's 2 of them in there.
Yeah, those are these. So watch all of the horror stories you hear on the news about like e-cigarettes exploding. 10 times out of 10, it's from people using cheap batteries. What you have is a good one. That's Panasonic is like, those are the top of the line lithium ion batteries.
Right.
So you want to stick to really good name brand ones. This one's a Sony. Sony makes them too.
Okay. Panasonic, isn't that who Tesla partnered with on their batteries?
I believe so. I think that's correct. Yeah. In fact,
I know they're making their own batteries now. They're gigafactories and what, but
yeah, I think they're still contracted with Panasonic or something like that for their chemistry or whatever. I don't know the exact details, but they still do have a relationship with whoever their battery manufacturer was.
You know, if you
in-house though in the gigafactory.
If you needed to find a job, you know you wouldn't have a hard time, right?
Yeah. Well, that's good. That's good to hear. We'll see what 2021 has in store. Hopefully, no economic crashes or anything like that. But so first generation Tesla, 18650. Second generation Tesla, 21700s. The new breakthrough battery technology that I think is going to be the breaking point for electric paramotors was announced recently back in September with what they had called Battery Day. Brian, you might know a little bit something about this if you follow Tesla close enough. So Tesla is trying to move on to the next stage of vehicle manufacturing. If they're going to keep up with manufacturers like Ford and Toyota, they're going to need to drastically increase the amount of vehicles that they're producing. So in order to do that, they need to decrease the price of their cells, and they need to simplify the manufacturing process to make them easier to make. And their solution to that was a type of battery cell that they announced last September. So I showed you the 21700, which is a little bit bigger. Their new cell is going to look something like this.
Wow.
It's a pretty big difference. So what they're doing is kind of smart. They basically said, hey, there's only so much lithium inside of this thing. There's only a certain percentage of this that actually goes into powering the car. Yet we still have to make this little cylinder. We have to put the cap on. We have to wrap it. We have to solder a bunch of stuff on here. And all that is wasted time. Why don't we try to do that less? So what they did was they made these batteries. The battery cell is much larger, so they don't have to repeatedly make a bunch of the wasted parts, like the shell and stuff like that. Just pack more lithium in there. So what prevented them from doing that in the past was before the anode and cathode technology they were using. If you were going to discharge a battery this large, the issue here is now, because the battery cell is so large, inside would get much hotter than the outside since it can only radiate heat from the outside. So their solution to that was, well, you have smaller batteries and then you liquid cool them with a little pipe that goes around the outside of the battery. So their solution to the heat difference from the inside to the outside is they have all these new tabs that they're going to crimp together so that they can discharge a very large amount of current without getting very hot. And that's what really was the game changer. So once they start manufacturing Teslas with these new cells, which are, they have a much higher gravimetric energy density, they call it, which is the ratio of how much it weighs versus how much energy it holds. The gravimetric energy density of this thing is about 15 to 20% better than this thing. So I actually have a screen cap of the battery day announcement right here to kind of show you what I'm talking about. Let me pull that up.
Sure wish I bought some of their stock right before that day.
Yeah, man. There's no stopping the Tesla hype train. So this is it right here. They're claiming 5 times energy. So it's hard to picture exactly what they're talking about there. I think they mean energy density, like volumetric energy density, how big it is versus how much energy it has. And then the important thing there is 16% range. So using these batteries, they can increase their range 16% better with the same amount of energy, with the same amount of batteries, essentially. So when you apply that to a paramotor, right now, paramotors are getting about an hour flight time, give or take. Add another 16% to that. If you built one that could go an hour and a half, add 16% to that, and you're really close to 2 hours. Yeah. And 2 hours, I think, is a pretty average flight time for most people. I'd say
that's way above average for a lot of people. I think.
Yeah, more than that.
I don't know. Mine's about 2 hours to 2.5 hours.
Sean, you ain't average,
you don't
man.
count.
You ain't.
You are
Yeah.
not average.
You ain't average, brother.
That's the first time Sean's heard that.
That's what my wife says all the time, so I'm just used to it.
So I'm kind of in that boat too, Sean. I like my flights to be close to 3 hours sometimes, but for the average person, once these start getting put in Teslas and the Teslas start crashing into stuff and we get our hands on these, that's going to be the game changer for paramotors, I think.
Brian, check the chat for questions. Sean's got a couple for the guest. I'm sorry.
So, all right. So Sean wants to know, what is the amp speed controller he's using? Yes, I'm a nerd, but curious.
Welcome
about these very good technical questions.
I think it's a 240 amp. I need to go look at it. It's a dual speed controller made for controlling 2 different motors. Each of them, I think, are 120 amps. So when you put them both together, the total output amperage you can do is 240.
All right. He wants to know what the KV is on the motor, the electric motor.
Sometimes they print them on the outside. It's a 190 kV. These are made by FlipSky, by the way. FlipSky makes awesome stuff.
I hate to say it, I got a background as an electrician, but what is KV in this particular instance? I didn't think it was running on.
Yeah, that's actually what I thought when I first heard it. KV
it's not kilovolt.
It has something to do with the rotations, like the rotation speed versus how many volts you put into it. So some motors, if you put in 1 volt, they'll spin kind of slow. Some motors, if you put in 1 volt, they'll spin really fast. So you trade torque for speed there. The slower spinning motor has more torque but less speed.
So KV refers to the constant velocity of a motor.
Yes. Yeah. The higher KV, the faster it spins.
The abbreviation for kilovolt.
Yep. Now, what I have up here on screen is kind of an internal view of what I was talking about before. Those tabs that allow them to make a battery cell this big that doesn't heat up internally. Like I said, once we get our hands on these, I think this is going to be a complete game changer for the electric paramotor community. For sure.
When we were talking earlier, did you say that you have to get lithium from the ocean floor?
So right now, where we get most of our lithium are countries like Argentina and Bolivia and stuff like that. They get them from salt brine pools. They essentially take a bunch of water and they pump it into the ground, and then they pump that water out of the ground into a giant pool. So that water, over the course of a couple months or whatever, evaporates and it leaves behind lithium salts. And they take those salts, and it's kind of cool to watch them do it. They just have these giant bulldozers, and they scrape the salt up into a big pile. They then take that salt and they refine the lithium out of it. So that's currently where we get most of our lithium. What Tesla was saying during their battery day was that's not going to cut it anymore. We can't. All of the lithium we get from the current lithium mines aren't going to satisfy the demand, the future demand for lithium, in order for them to produce vehicles fast enough. So they recently got a license from EPA or somebody to do lithium nodule mining. Basically, there's these little rocks that are embedded in the ocean floor that they can basically just go down there and scoop them up, and they're full of like lithium and a bunch of other metals and stuff like that too. So you'd think like there's probably a lot of environmental concerns with this, like, oh, you're just going to go to the bottom of the ocean and start scooping up reefs and stuff. But this is in a very, very deep part of the ocean where it's basically just sand and there's not a lot of biodiversity. So it might actually be better for the environment too than the way they currently do it.
Oh, so here's a. Am I muted? No. You guys might have shut up. You guys might have. Covered it well.
JP, why are you looking a little tired, a little drained?
He walked for a couple minutes.
You got a little glow to you right now. What's that glow about?
Am I glowing? Like
Minuteman glow.
Yeah, hey. I was a boy, for the first half of the show. I'm a man now.
Oh, I like that.
JP, good answer.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, man.
Anywho, you might have already.
No.
You might have already.
Need a
discussed it.
disclaimer.
That could mean anything. Eric Lear brings up something that I would have asked. Can you use the windmilling of the prop as regenerative charging?
Technically, yes, but the problem is that your forward speed doesn't produce enough. It doesn't produce enough force on the prop for you to get any significant electricity generation from it. There's some electric planes that can do that, but they have variable pitch props. They can pitch the prop in such a way where they can actually spin it up on landing and regenerate some electricity.
How difficult would it be to make a paramotor with a prop that you can pitch yourself as you're flying?
It'd be heavy.
Would it be
pretty difficult, honestly?
Yeah.
It would be.
Okay.
You'd have to have a special hub that you can control. They make a variable pitch prop for RC planes, and it basically has an electric motor that has a hole right through the middle shaft, and that middle shaft, and then you got a rod that goes through that middle shaft that hooks to the prop. But each one of those prop hubs have to have a mechanism connected to each piece of the prop. So yeah,
it's like a helicopter facing sideways. Basically.
Correct.
Yeah, well, we had one on one of our experimental aircrafts in the past. Basically had a potentiometer inside the plane, a pot that you could turn to adjust the pitch. So I mean, they're there.
Could you make it like on maybe a trike with a 2-stroke motor and have all that stuff behind you? Would that be something that you could do?
I think it just the gain you're looking at is probably negligible. It'd be cool, and it would be kind of a novelty sort of thing. I don't know how much practicality would be there.
For paramotors, not so much. We just don't move fast enough.
Yeah, the RPM isn't there, and
here's my question about the electric motors and stuff. If you're using electricity to turn to the prop, why couldn't you hook another mechanism to the turning prop to regenerate electricity back to the batteries?
So what you're talking about
is
a free energy machine, which doesn't exist.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I'm not saying you have to charge it exactly what you're using, but couldn't you regenerate some of it back to it?
So to try to explain why you can't do that, that's a question a lot of people have. So this is a good time to talk about it. So when an electric vehicle like a Tesla or like my hybrid outside is braking, it's using electric motor braking. So in order to charge the battery back up, that energy has to come from somewhere, and it literally takes the kinetic energy, the moving energy of the car, to spin a motor to turn that back into battery electricity. So in order to, like, let's say you had an electric motor and then a generator attached to that electric motor, it takes electricity to spin the electric motor, right? But now you have a generator on the other side that is trying to steal kinetic energy from it. So the more electricity you try to generate over here, the higher load. This will basically act like a brake. The more electricity you try to suck out of the generator, which means the more electricity you have to put in here. And the issue with that is there's about, every time you change energy sources, there's a 5 to 10% loss. So you're already losing energy going from chemical to electrical from the battery to the motor. Then you're losing a little bit of energy transferring the electrical energy into mechanical energy. You're losing about 5 or 10% there. And then you're going to do that all over again. So by the time you get from one battery to another battery, you've lost 20% of what you put in initially.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
just a process of transferring power from one place to another. There's always losses, and there's always some that you can't get back.
Thermodynamics, my friend. Thermodynamics is your
perfect heat engine.
Mm-hmm.
All right, it's almost 9 o'clock our time, and it's getting late. So let's go ahead and spin the wheel real quick. And this is for another Paraswag USA t-shirt. We appreciate everyone staying on so long. I just looked. It looks like we have 36 people watching and 36 thumbs up. So thank you very, very much. That is really awesome. Now we got 37 watching and 36 thumbs up. So I wonder if we could change
Jordan,
that
while we're spinning the wheel, and then after the winner, maybe you could talk about this. I was watching some stuff on electric motors and energy, and I seen a device that a guy invented that was done with rare earth magnets, and it was basically a generator, and he had finagled these earth magnets in there to go against themselves. And once you started this motor, it would run and run and run until it wouldn't stop. Is that really possible?
Yes. So there's a lot of.
I think it's gonna be a deal.
They look like free energy. Oh, did JR get it?
Ben.
Paramotor NC.
Gonna be Ben.
Nice.
Ben, I'm sorry, that's that Bill. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Paramotor North Carolina.
Didn't they win like last week or the week before?
Hey, real quick, I want to say
congratulations, Ben.
Nice.
All right.
Yeah, follow him on TikTok, and he's been dropping a bunch of videos on YouTube too. So,
Jordan, you just gotta keep talking. When you get interrupted, just keep talking.
Yeah.
No, man, I've been talking too much. You're
too. Yeah, but I've always been curious about that when I saw that. I was wondering if it was fake, or is that something really that could be done?
So this is something that confuses a lot of people because like you can do this experiment. You can do experiments like this at home. So there is a some type of wheel mechanism. I don't even know how to describe it, that uses a series of weights to like offset its gravity as like, you know, it falls, the weight goes further away from the center on one side and it comes closer to the center on the other side, and you know, all sorts of that stuff. You can rig up a machine that will continuously spin with no energy put into it. All you need to do is give it a little start. But once again, there's no such thing as free energy. So that energy has to come from somewhere. What you're actually doing is you're stealing energy from the rotation of the earth. The little machine that you just made is actually stealing a very, very, very small, like indistinguishable amount of speed of the earth's rotation. So you're transferring the earth's rotation speed into the speed of your little machine. And if you tried to scale that up to like let's say you wanted to power a city with it, number one, it would need to be absolutely gigantic. But number two, you would actually start slowing down the earth and you would kill all of mankind. So you don't want to try that.
This device that I saw, Jordan, was actually using rare earth magnets against themselves. You would take the negative and the positive, and it had two plates. And once you started spinning it, the force of the magnets would keep that wheel
Did
spinning.
it have a big base to it?
Yes, it looked like a big generator.
Well, it probably had an electric motor hidden.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that like to troll and like make spoof machines.
Yeah.
That's what this sounds like, honestly.
Because then you're starting to get into perpetual motion machines, and no one's ever been able to invent a perpetual motion machine.
They got a lot of things on YouTube.
I'm a
that look
perpetual
like
motion machine.
Yeah.
Your mouth is a perpetual motion.
Speaking about perpetual motion machine, we did open up the podcast to everybody. So if you want to join in and talk Paramotors with us, ask Jordan some questions, hang out with us. We're going to stay on for about another hour. We are going to still be recording, and so everybody will be able to see this. So the swear jar is still on the table. So watch what y'all say, unless you want to put some money into the super chat. So
I'm a sailor.
Swear.
Are we done with the wheel?
Yeah, for today. Thank you so much. Paramotor NC, please email me at ppggrandpa@gmail.com. Let me know if a large is okay, because that's all I have.
He did say large. He said large in the chat.
Oh, good.
Hey, Shane, since you're sitting there keeping an eye on the chat, what happens to be the score right now?
I don't know, man. Oh, actually, hold on. Let me summons the wife. Wait
for it.
1735, Alabama's kicking butt.
What's the score?
Oh,
35-17.
Really?
Alabama.
Okay.
35-17.
Sorry,
JP.
Check your Alabama, because I know you're not roll red tide.
For everyone that needs to leave, thank you very much for listening to us and being here. We're going to be hanging out for another hour or so. We appreciate you jumping on. The super chat.
Thank you for watching us instead of the football game.
We're watching both.
We're so much better.
We're watching both. No one just watching this. Come on. Ohio 17, Atlanta 37. Okay.
I need to leave after I heard that score.
Oh, thanks, JP.
I'm looking forward to having Jordan back on after he builds his own electric paramotor and starts selling them, so we can interview him.
Absolutely.
Yeah, let us test the first one. Paraswag USA right here.
Yeah, please.
Okay, I got you.
With it, Jordan. Like
Paraswag will be my test dummies.
Right. I got a perfect test dummy. His name's Chris Wheeler.
Yeah, my dog is choking.
Yeah.
So you're probably thinking, where am I going to get all the parts for this? Like, what am I even going to do? I've looked into that. I've put a lot of thought into this, which is the only reason I'm even bringing it up. I pretty much almost have this entire thing laid out. Like it's all up here. I know how to use like some CAD software so I can draw it all up there, but I know how to get a hold of all the parts. So as far as the motor goes, the battery we talked about, for the motor, I'm pulling it up right now. There's a company called Alien Power Systems, which makes hobby electric motors. They do stuff for RC cars, RC planes, that type of thing. But they've realized that there's a new niche market growing, the electric paramotors, and they've actually produced an electric motor for us to use. So I'm gonna see if I can pull that up here.
What's the price on that motor, Jordan?
It's about $1,000. Let me look. You guys can continue talking here while I look this up. It's going to take me a second.
So you're going to need a motor. You're going to need an ESC. You're going to need a battery pack, and you're going to need a charging system.
Yes. The charging system is that might be the hard part. So these motors, they run off of a pretty high voltage. The ESCs can take up to like 20 S cells. And you look fine in a 20 S charger. They're not very.
Yeah, so you're gonna have to break those apart. That's what I was thinking earlier. You're gonna have to break those apart and use something like a paraboard.
So that's actually what I do with this battery right here. So right here, it's a 12S battery. I have a plug right here that actually
TX60.
What's up?
Is that a TX60?
XT90.
XT90.
So what I do I can split the 12S cell into two 6S cells by pulling that little jumper out, and I can charge the two banks individually as 6Ss.
Yep.
So I might be able to do something similar to that, where I charge sections of the battery.
We actually have charger. I do 12 cells at one time, 12S batteries. So they've got some newer chargers on the market now. You might look into that.
They do make chargers for
Hey, Walter.
You can find chargers for these for battery packs with that high of a voltage, but they're kind of expensive. So that's another thing that I'll have to work out. I finally did find the motor here. Let me pull this up on screen. And here it is. If you guys can see this. So this is Alien Power Systems 280S BLDC motor. This is obviously made specifically for a paramotor. So they've realized that this is a new up and coming thing.
Wow, dude, this is awesome.
Yeah, I've seen a couple people have already built rigs with these motors.
What is the diameter of that thing? How big is it?
Where's that? Where's the website? What is it called?
It's a 200 millimeter, so the diameter is like pretty huge. So this is Alien Power Systems.
$1,400, huh?
Yeah, 1,300 euros. So I don't know.
That's euros.
Yeah, it's probably $1,500.
Yeah. So let's do that conversion real quick here.
Still, $1,500 is cheaper than getting a brand new Moster.
Yeah. Yep.
And the exhaust won't go out in less than 25 hours.
Then Shane will be griping that he's got a cracked battery pack or something.
No, what do I need a battery pack for? In 100 hours, I've seen the Moster Y19s break under 20 hours. Mine lasted 71, I think it was.
How much are the throttles?
How much is what?
The throttle.
Because I can't see. It looks really small, and all of the.
That's what she said.
Aha!
Yeah, just kind of ignore this. The next thing I was going to go through is so you're also going to need an ESC that can handle a motor that large.
Yeah.
It'll probably be this. They apparently have some really large ones to handle those motors. So it'd probably be something along this line.
Hopefully those have fans and stuff on them.
Yeah, it's pretty big. This would have to go on the Paramotor with you. There's no going around that. But it doesn't look super heavy.
You know that right when I got out of the helicopters and stuff, they were getting to where they were some of the ESCs that they were starting to put on some of those bigger helicopters. They had exhaust fans on them.
Oh yeah, that doesn't surprise me. I think on a Paramotor though, there's enough airflow where this.
Yeah. I think you could utilize what you already have.
Jordan, what's the price? What's the price on the controller? I couldn't see that.
Oh yeah, I should go back to that. Hold on.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah,
that goes to another question, Jordan, because the throttle is not going to work like a regular throttle.
So $300 or 300 euros for that speed.
Oh, that's not bad.
No, it's not. That takes up to a 24S, 24 cells in parallel. So that's pretty high voltage.
So how are you going to wire a throttle into this? That's what my question is.
Here we go. You can use essentially the same thing I'm using for my skateboard. You could have a throttle something like this. That's wireless. That gets strapped to your hand, or you could have a wired one if you want. I
can just see you fly and you drop your throttle. Where'd it go?
Tell you where it went with your
when
prop.
you lose your GoPro, but man,
somebody from the ground finds it flying you around.
You have a little lanyard on it, like you do the Wii controllers and stuff.
Yeah, essentially the nunchucks.
Yeah.
So these controllers now are advanced enough to have like a bunch of like fancy bells and whistles. So it's pretty dead. Hopefully it'll turn on. Let me power it up. So I don't know if you guys can see the screen.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Let me change my focus here.
So it gives you a lot of information as well.
A ton of it.
Pull it back a bit, Jordan.
Yeah. I'm gonna change the focus so that you guys can see it.
Right.
So
All
for all
right,
the people that are
so-
listening to this and they're not watching this, what are you showing right now?
So this is
There it is.
the wireless remote for my electric skateboard.
That's
And you
freaking
could
cool.
use something very similar to this for an electric paramotor. So on here, it shows me my mile per hour. You could obviously change that to RPM or something similar to that. It shows me how many miles. You could change that to, how many hours you've
For
been up.
altitude.
Yeah, you could.
Yeah.
I'm sure you could wire up some kind of altimeter setup to this thing.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, I can't wait to get my RC radio and hook up to Sean's wireless throttle and help him fly through the air. Hey, why is he porpoising up there? I don't know.
Oh God.
Jordan, you're very impressive with your knowledge. I'm fascinated with how well you're into this and greatly appreciate you being on the show for sure.
Yeah.
Appreciate you guys as well.
I'll tell you what, man, I haven't even been thinking about electric paramotors. I've just stuck on 2-stroke, until tonight. So this is making me think a little different.
Yeah, we need someone with Jordan's knowledge in electronics and the passion for paramotors to join the two together. I think that's it's really, and the batteries is been the big hold up all this time, and the technology. Jordan, just a quick one. That new power cell that you showed, the big thing, is that? Yeah, Mr. Musk has made the new battery where I understand a normal battery, your negative terminal is in the center. So the negative has got to work all its way around through the positives to come out. So he's done it as the negative has a direct line, so it doesn't have to fight through the positives, and that's why the battery's going to last longer. Is that right? Is that what I'm sort of understanding?
Kind of. I get you. So I'll pull that image back up, and I'll show you this.
I didn't jump.
So in this battery, all of the copper tabs you see there, those would be positive, and since they're all touching each other, they're all electrically the same. So you connect those tabs to the top of the cell, which is positive. I will pull that up on screen. So with the current battery technology, the entire shell right there, all of this metal, that is all negative. It all acts like a ground, if you want to think of it like that. Here's the current cells that Tesla's actually using. They
Top and the bottom.
when they sell them off, they're wrapped like this, but the whole chassis is negative. And then you have just that little cap in the center that's positive. So this right here is the current drawback that prevents you from making a cell that large, is that the only way the electricity gets out of the battery is through one small thin little strip that's connected to that tab. So the way they're getting around that is, instead of having one small thin strip, they crimp a bunch of these like tiny little tabs and like crimp them together. So that way the electricity doesn't have to fight a bunch of resistance to get out. It can discharge stuff.
That's right. So it enables them to have more power, but also the life, because the negative doesn't have to rush through the positive. It doesn't damage the positive cells. That's the way I understand it.
Yeah.
So
they're pumping a lot of electricity through there, and it produces a lot of heat. So they
he's claiming 30 years out of those things, possibly.
So from what I know, there is a large community of Tesla owners that they all update this group spreadsheet, and they track their vehicle information. So out of California, there's a taxi service that uses exclusively Teslas to like taxi people around the state. They have racked up the most miles, and I believe they were the first ones to hit 1 million miles with a Tesla Model S. And in that 1 million miles, from what I hear, out of their 10 so cars or whatever that hit this large amount of miles, what they were reporting is that on average, every like 400,000 miles or so, they had to replace a battery pack. Every 300,000 miles or so, they had to replace like a motor unit. So, out of 1 million miles, every once in a while, you're going to have to replace something. But, before you have to replace any of the major drivetrain components, you should be able to hit 300,000+ miles. And most people don't keep a car that long anyways. So that would not be 99% of the population.
Yeah, I
Wow, that is funny.
think Bob, yeah.
I just can't take you seriously, dude.
Bob, I think
Sound like a
your wife
chipmunk.
has a hold of your batteries.
Yeah, you're coming through really, really high pitch, Bob.
And what was that?
Can't keep. Can't.
That's
take you
because he's in
seriously.
space, man. He's in the ISS.
Oh, that's what it is. He's breathing hard. Here you go.
He sounded like he was Simon the Chickmunk.
Uh,
Try it again.
We're not making fun of you.
oh, yes, we are.
It just sounds funny.
Yeah, we that was funny.
Bob, we miss you.
Come on, Bob. Where you at, buddy?
All right,
He's muted.
he'll be back in a second.
All right.
Jordan, can I ask you one other thing? With electric, I think it's the same like with RC. It depends on how. What am I trying to get at? Give me a moment to think. I've lost my thought.
He's in Australia, so he's ahead of us. So
Wait, how did you rotate your video? How are you not upside down right now?
Because his toilet spins backwards.
Oh,
The water goes down.
Well, I was telling Amy, it's pretty hard down under. You try standing on your head 24/7 and then tell me what it feels like.
Got a bad headache.
yeah, man. Everything already wants to kill you. You got spiders and kangaroos that are trying to fight you all the time. Like it's a rough life.
Yeah.
you got Sheila's coming at you.
Sheila's.
Kangaroos. You got crocodiles. You got all kind of things over there to kill you.
I thought it's
Yeah.
for a woman.
Il tequila.
Sorry, what was that, Amy?
I thought Sheila was a slang term for a woman.
It is.
It is.
Yeah.
And
you're a
all
Sheila.
women try to kill us.
Yeah.
Only with love.
Jordan,
Yeah,
what I
that's
was trying to say is when you've got so much battery, a way to use less energy to create the same power, can that be done? Do you know what I mean? The way you draw from, let's say, the cells. And I suppose, like you said, it's done with computer that manages the way they discharge, charge, and all of that. I suppose that's really where it's at. But
Yeah, so you're talking about increasing the efficiency. So
so less power, but the same, less battery power, but the same sort of torque. Do you know what I mean? It's just like trying to get the max out of it without using a lot of fuel, so to speak.
Yes. So part of the reason why Tesla is named Tesla, it's an ode to Nikola Tesla, who invented the AC motor, and in addition to a bunch of other stuff. His AC motor invention was so revolutionary that to this day, over 100 years later, we've improved upon it almost none. Its efficiency is really, really good. We have something now that they didn't have as much access to back then, like neodymium magnets, which are awesome for electric motors. But right now, electric motors themselves are like really, really high in the efficiency. It's really hard to increase it beyond what it is. It's like 98% efficient or something. Where when it comes to gas motors, they can absolutely increase the efficiency. Only about 1/3 of the chemical energy that comes out of burning gasoline goes into driving the car forward. The other 2/3 of that energy just goes into heat. Like, in fact, it produces so much waste heat that you have to dump it out through your radiator. And that's partially why gas motors are so inefficient, is there's so much waste.
No, I understand that. And that's why I say electric is the future. It's just, for us, especially with flying, well, aircrafts are going that way. So they know more than we. So
what we do need to work on, we need to work on getting the same amount of energy into a lighter package when it comes to aircraft and paramotors. And there's a lot of really promising technology I've heard of. There's a lot of stuff on the horizon, like glass batteries. They call them silicon batteries. So instead of using lithium, they use like silicon as an electrolyte. So lithium inside the battery, lithium is only about 1% of what's inside of there. All it is the electrolyte that allows the electrons to go back and forth. Most of what the battery actually is a bunch of metals like carbon and cobalt and aluminum and other things like that. So there's other batteries on the horizon that use other elements that promise higher gravimetric energy density. But they have their own drawbacks right now that we need to get out. Some of them are really hard to manufacture. Some of them, they have really high energy density, but they only last like a couple hundred charges. So they need to fix that issue. But there's like ceramic and like glass batteries, which seem really, really promising as well. They in the lab have produced like ridiculous amounts of energy density. It's just a matter of like, can you mass produce them and make them cheap enough to be viable for electric cars?
When we finally figure out wireless power, which was another Tesla project, as you probably know, Nikola Tesla, he was trying to do wireless power using infrared or radar, I believe. When they can finally figure that out, and they do have wireless power. Most of you have wireless chargers for your cell phones, probably, where you just sit it down and charge your phone. But they have very limited range and distance.
Yes.
When they get that figured out, you no longer need the battery pack.
So this right here is one of those wireless electrical coils right there. Essentially what they do is they run a current through this coil and it produces an electric field, which then
magnetic field.
It makes electrons inside of your phone move wirelessly. The drawback to that, which I don't think we will ever be able to get around, is when it comes to this, using a coil to transmit energy wirelessly, number one, the waste is extremely high. It takes a very large amount of electricity to produce a field that large. And then the amount of energy you're actually able to transfer is really small. And it's just because of a basic law of physics, the square root law or something like that. Basically, the amount of energy as you go away from the energy source out in a sphere degrades by 1 over the square root of the distance. So the further you go away from it, it exponentially gets worse and worse and worse. And that's why, fortunately, EMPs aren't a very effective weapon because the range is extremely limited. But laser energy transfer, microwave energy transfer, all of that stuff does have some promise.
Effectively, what you're holding is one coil of a transformer in your hand. It's the same thing. So a transformer has 2 coils, a primary and a secondary coil. They're in close proximity of each other. One creates a magnetic field. The other picks up on that magnetic field. It's basically the same technology. But you look at how big and heavy a transformer is. So that kind of help you visualize the limitations that technology has. But one day it's going to happen.
Yeah. How are you working now?
Yeah, we hear you good, Bob.
Well, I was saying before is one of the cool things that Tesla's working on now with the battery tech is they're combining solid state with their current battery tech, which is a supercapacitor, combined with the lithium ion or lithium iron that they're looking at now. So the supercapacitor would take the high burst, high current, and then the batteries would recharge the supercapacitors, which it's supposed to give an enormous range boost. But
that's actually what this is, by the way. This is a supercapacitor.
Yeah,
I don't know if you call it a supercapacitor, but it's a really, really large capacitor.
Yeah, I was thinking about putting one of those in my car, or actually a bank of 6 of them.
Can you guys, I actually know what a capacitor is, but can you explain to some of these guys that don't know what a capacitor is, what it does?
So it's another way to store electricity, but it's usually not used for like in the same way a battery is used. What capacitors are used for in electronics is to usually to level out voltages, to get rid of noise. It acts like a tank, if you think of it like that. So let's say you're trying to fill a tank with, let's say you're trying to output a bunch of water to a city. You don't want a bunch of like water pressure spiking and going down and up and down really, really quickly. You have a water tower that helps absorb that. you can put whatever amount of water you want in a water tower at any point, but it'll slowly fill and slowly drain. That's essentially what a capacitor does.
The capacitor is very good at charging extremely rapidly and discharging extremely rapidly.
Yes.
High current, high power.
Jordan, what you're holding in your hand, you showed us that box that you made. How many of those batteries would equivalent to what was in your box?
How many of these?
No, the big one you had in your hand.
Yeah. So, well, since this is
how many of them would equivalent to what's in your box?
So I was using this as a diagram to kind of explain what the new Tesla cell would look like. If you're talking about Tesla's new cell, one of these would you could take probably 24 of these and it would equal the same as what's inside that box right there. Maybe less, maybe 12. We don't exactly know what their capacity is going to be yet.
Still a big area, but is that fairly light compared to a normal battery, or is it heavy?
Yeah, so they've already released those numbers. They should be 16% lighter with the same amount of energy. And that's why I'm saying this is going to be a big that I don't think anybody realizes yet. Once we can get our hands on these, we're going to be able to build rigs with them, and we can actually achieve good flight times without having like 100-pound rig or something insane.
So that size of that battery equivalates to what you have in that box. Is it going to take up more area?
No, it'll take up the same amount of area. So that's what you're talking about is the volumetric energy density. How big is it versus how much energy does it have?
Yeah,
that is better as this as well. So even though this is much larger, this when you take it as a function of how much space it takes up, this has more energy per square inch than this does. So technically speaking, this on a paramotor, not only would it be lighter, but it would take up less space. You would have to use less of these. From my calculations of what I would, if you wanted to get like an hour-and-a-half flight time out of an electric paramotor, you would essentially need hundreds of these. You would probably need like 400 or so of them. You'd need quite a bit. And you'd have to create a very large, something like this. I actually have a video or a picture that I can bring up. So this is the Tesla battery packs that they use in the Model S and the Model X. You can see they just have a bunch of them all in a pack that's like a giant prism. You'd essentially need one of those on the back of your paramotor around that size in order to get about an hour and a half of flight time. So if you, instead of using those cells, you're able to use these, you could theoretically make that package a little bit smaller.
Yeah. As long as I can run my heated gloves and heated socks off of it, man, we'll be
good. We need some charging ports and all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
USB charging ports. Yep.
So what I wanted to show you guys is the current state of electric paramotors. So right now, here's an older one. Let me pull up my web screen here. So I reached out to Blackhawk earlier. They don't make this one anymore. And I'm assuming the reason for that is the price tag. This seems pretty expensive to me. It looks like it's pretty good quality. They have this weird standoff too, which I'm sure that's there for some reason, probably to make
you get to clear the prop from the hoop.
Yeah, I think so.
Clear prop.
But it seems like a good rig. They claimed about an hour flight time for the larger battery. 50 minutes I see here.
What's the weight on that?
64 pounds.
See, that's heavier than my Parajet with a Moster 185 on it.
Yep. Yeah, 64 pounds is definitely up there.
The new gravity weighs 65 pounds.
So
I mean, it's in the ballpark weight wise, but
yeah. This is kind of old technology. They designed this back in the middle of the 2010s, like 2015 or 2014, I think. So this is using like battery technology moves fast, man. We've far evolved beyond this. So nowadays this would be a lot cheaper and it would have a lot more. But a Blackhawk, as far as I know, doesn't really have any plans for another one. But all I know is they stopped selling this.
I bet the motor that you can get now is lighter as well.
Probably. So here's another good one, Skyjam. They're pushing some pretty impressive numbers. So let's see, what's their thrust number? I lost their numbers.
What's the price on that?
Oh,
one?
flight time. They're claiming a 45-minute flight time on this one without thermals. I'm assuming they're saying that because if you can find a thermal, you can extend it.
Yeah.
But
the problem right now isn't the motors. The motors are super easy.
Batteries.
There's a couple of ultralight companies that I follow. One of them is Thundergo, and they had some custom designed, some German company custom designed the motor. They have a 28 horsepower ultralight electric motor that they put together that he can right now run on old school, like 2 generations back batteries. He can get an hour and a half flight time on an ultralight that weighs like 250 pounds. The batteries are the issue. It's not the motors. The motors, you can design a motor that would run a paramotor all day long if they have the battery tech, and that's the sticking point right now.
Yep. Yeah, exactly right.
The difference with fixed wing, Bob, is, as you know, number one, the engines are heavy. So remove that, there's a lot of space for batteries, let alone 100 odd litres in each side on the wings. That's a lot of weight.
Well, no, but we're talking ultralights here, so we're still stuck with the same 5 liter capacity. So the same 5 liter capacity. What they're doing is they're taking what 5 liters of gasoline would cost, and they transmit that to what 5 liters of the weight of 5 liters of fuel would cost in batteries, and it's working out. But the battery tech is the key.
So
it's not much fuel to in weight. Where I'm saying with a normal aircraft, as you see a lot of aircrafts now, trainers that are coming out electric, that are putting in over an hour of flight and then recharge and away they go again. The point is that most of those planes would carry 100-200 litres of fuel. Now, when you equivalent that plus the engine, take all that weight out, man, you can chuck in whatever batteries you like.
Well, yeah, but a motor, the actual electric motor that would power a paramotor or an ultralight for that matter, weighs about
nothing.
10 pounds.
Yeah,
nothing.
10 pounds at most.
Yeah.
The batteries are the problem.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, now here's the thing: are we talking now? Because again, coming from the RC world, we've dabbled in those batteries a long time before they started doing what they're doing now with them. And we used to only use like the lithium ions for like low voltage stuff, like our receivers and different things like that. And then when it came to the high voltage and the power, we went to lithium polymer. So am I seeing a reverse in that now? Am I seeing where they're getting higher voltage out of lithium ion versus the polymer now?
So no, the lithium polymer, they put out a hell of a lot of power, but they have heat problems.
Yes. So lithium polymer is a type of lithium ion battery. So the actual like nomenclature for these are cylindrical cells, and I believe they would call lipo batteries prismatic cells, I believe is what they're called. So they're both lithium. They're very slightly different chemistry. The advantage that you get with the pouch cells, the lipos, is that they have a very high ampacity, meaning they can put out a very large amount of amps. They can dump a bunch of their energy in a very short amount of time. This thing right here can only put out about 15 amps safely. You can continuously draw 15 amps from this without it getting so hot that it'll explode. But if you go over that, that's no bueno. The lipo attached to my paramotor can do like 200 amps or something insane. So.
But when you take and put 400 of those lithium ions together, then now you've got something.
Yep. Yeah. That amperage adds together. So if you take 2 of them like this and you put them together, now your ampacity is 30 amps or 45 if you add a third one. So that's how my skateboard, that's how I can crank 200 amps out of that thing because I have 8 of them in parallel. So
with paramotors, you're going to want to have a more constant power draw. So you're going to have a better battery management system that has cooling incorporated into the software. which isn't all that big a deal, but it adds weight.
Yeah, you're right. Ideally, what you should do is design your battery in such a way where the amount of load that the electric motor is pulling from the battery isn't high enough to cause it to heat up in the first place. That's kind of the deal with I don't need any cooling on my skateboard battery because I have so many of these things in parallel that they're discharging extremely slowly.
Right.
So the battery doesn't actually produce any heat just because it's basically trickled.
Basically, you just built up your milliamps.
Yeah. Yep.
But with the skateboard, you've got like 15-minute runtime though.
The
Hey,
skateboard.
Jordan, you're still sharing your screen, Jordan. If
Yes.
Hey,
wanna show
Jordan, what's your runtime on that skateboard you built?
I don't actually know what the run time is. It's in a skateboard, it's more measured in range, and from what I calculated, it should be about 60 miles, give or take.
And what's the time frame on that?
Considering I probably won't go above like 25 miles an hour. So 60 miles, 25, like a couple hours, I would say. Now, keep in mind, if you're on a trail, if you're riding this thing on trail, which is kind of what it's designed for, and you're just going like 5 miles an hour over like sticks and rocks and stuff, it's going to last like, with this battery, it'll last all day. Give it all day, maybe 2 days.
That's the same in the air. If you could collect thermals, yeah, there all day.
Yeah, that would be nice. I don't know if that's feasible right now for paramotors though. What I was going to show you though, this is currently what I would consider kind of like cutting edge electric paramotor technology. So this is from the open PPG community. I believe there is a guy named PD White that's kind of leading the whole thing. He's done a lot of the design and like manufacturing and everything and stuff. But
the only thing that we can see right now is a sky and a wing. Are you trying to show something different?
Sky and
oh yeah, it's still sharing your screen.
Sharing your screen.
Oh, I'm sharing the wrong screen. I'm sorry. Give me a second.
Hey, Sean, I was going to tell you a joke about procrastinating, but I'll just tell you later.
All right, here we go.
Well, the nice thing about the new batteries, unless I'm a little bit behind, is Tesla's looking at the lithium iron phosphates. The battery chemistry reduces the amount of lithium, but increases the total efficiency of the battery, which is kind of cool too.
I heard they're doing that in China. I don't really know that for sure though.
I read that they were kind of poaching those companies and trying to buy out a couple of those companies. I know that Tesla's bought out so many battery companies and trying to find the cream of the crop. So who knows?
Yep. Hopefully you guys can see my screen here. This Paramotor.
Yes, sir.
So this is as I was saying before, it's from the open PPG community. They've designed a lot of really interesting stuff. So their first motor was that you've probably seen it. They have like this quad setup right here. It has 4 small blades on it.
Actually, that's kind of ideal.
Yes, I've seen that. Yes. Yeah,
that's ideal because you eliminate torque with that. You have 2 counter-rotating sets.
You
of
do.
gears.
That's right.
That's one of the good pluses, but there's a huge downside. The smaller your prop is, the more inefficient it is.
Yeah.
Do you have to have 4 ESCs on that one, or are they still running that with 1?
I think you need 4.
That's what
I don't believe that you can drive 4 motors with 1 ESC.
No.
Because
they do make that. Actually, they do make ESCs because I've seen them in the hobby world that will run multiple motors on 1 ESC, but it's somehow but it's built 4 ESCs onto one board is basically what they've done.
So this is it right here. This was like their first version. It was basically like a quadcopter essentially, but at 90 degrees. I've seen one of these fly in person. It's a really cool design. It produces a lot of thrust, but it's really, really loud because those props are like the prop tips are breaking the speed of sound there. In order to get those props to produce enough thrust to propel a human being into the air, they need to spin really fast.
Sounds like a giant quad, I bet.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, the best configuration would be to have 2 normal paramotor props.
2 props
with 2 counter-rotating electric motors.
Yep.
Yeah. If you can
Did
figure
y'all
out
know that the most efficient prop is a single-bladed prop?
Yes, I've heard that as well. If you could somehow design one giant blade that was balanced some way, you would get the most thrust with the least amount of input power. That is true.
I'm a fan of the 3-blade because you get the least vibration with the most efficiency, but the less. You have a nice compromise between that whine and power and response.
Yeah, that's what I fly. I fly 3-blade, and I really like it.
I don't see why counter rotation with 2 props would be a hard thing to figure out.
Oh, it isn't. GA aircraft do it all the time.
So
it's not a hard thing to do. It's a weight thing to do. It's weight.
Yeah, you could do it. In fact, we could do it with different technology. You just have to synchronize them in such a way where the blades overlap and don't bump into each other. But the problem is that the 2-blade design has the same problem that this 4-blade design has. Is it's not as efficient. So the smaller you make a prop, the more wasted energy you have trying to produce thrust with it. So the bigger prop you have, theoretically, you could produce more thrust with less input power, which is why
Jordan, what it really needs is one motor. One motor would probably be 2 motors, but one shaft going through the other, spinning the other way.
Oh, counter rotating. Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, one 2 props, but counter rotating. Would that work?
Oh
yeah, actually, yeah, that would.
That's what we were talking about, Jordan.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know what I mean? All in one sphere.
It goes back to just like that pitched prop that they make with the hollow shaft on the motor. So you have a control rod that goes through that can control the pitch of the motor or the prop.
So
they even make ultralight engines that will do a counter rotating prop. That's not a big deal. It's a matter of the gearing that
yeah.
It's a weight problem.
You could do it. Absolutely. You in fact
2 motors with a hollow shaft in one and a solid one going through the middle, but counter rotating.
Right. Well, that's the advantage of electric. You can do that very easily without adding a heck of a lot of weight.
Right. But you're still adding another prop, which is costing efficiency and drag, and then plus the
2 motors. Yeah.
So what these guys have done, Open PPG, I think is the most cutting edge stuff. And it's genius in its simplicity. So the quad prop design is kind of neat. It has an advantage of like no torque, a lot of thrust and stuff like that, but the flight time is really bad. This one though, so I've seen their like kind of debut video of this, the SP140. I think I don't want to screw this up. Let me get exact numbers here. Their flight time they were claiming is really good. Let's see. Yeah, 30 to 60 minutes. I'm assuming you can get 60 with a 4 kilowatt hour battery. To put that into perspective, that skateboard battery I showed you is about 2 kilowatts. So you take 2 of those and put them together and you get 4. So that's about what the size of the battery would be. Although you could make it like longer and thinner, so it wouldn't be so big and bulky like that. There's also a lot of wasted space inside of that case for like the battery protection, like foam and stuff. So you wouldn't need any of that.
I still think if what's his name for Aviator? What's his name? The guy that joined Eric. Anyway, the one that knows Elon, the one that worked with him. If he can get Elon into paramotoring, we'll have a 15 kilowatt paramotor, electric paramotor that will recharge in 15 minutes and have an hour and a half flight time, or maybe 3 hour flight time.
Yeah, you're talking about Chris.
Yeah, Chris.
Yeah, Jordan, see how they've used the battery in between the frame and then the motor to space it out. That's perfect. Keep that weight.
That looks like the ESC.
I think the ESC is inside of that box.
Yeah.
But this is what I'm saying. You see how simple and elegant that is? Like these guys have a really good design. It looks like all of the battery cells and all of the electronic circuitry that you need is inside of there. And like, let's say you want to take it off and swap it for another one. It looks like you can basically just unbolt it and slap another one on there. Do you land?
Slip it in and out
real quick and
slip it in and out. Yeah.
Well, the other nice thing about electric is you see the hub on the prop, and you see the larger ring. That larger ring is the motor. That is the whole thing.
That's right. The whole
Your
thing.
motor is maybe 3 inches wide, period.
Yeah.
And you have your center of thrust is much closer to you. Your batteries can be placed down where your fuel tank usually goes, so that doesn't mess up anything. But your thrust line is going to be so much closer to your back.
Yeah, these guys are definitely on something for sure.
In Australia here, we race electric bikes. They're just like a normal motorbike, but electric. Now, people in the city of Melbourne, what they did is they've actually, through the computer system, it's the way that the motorbike, like say the rider needs to give it all the power and the battery says no, right? It monitors what it gives you because it says, I can't give you the full power you want. And it's like the brain, and the brain makes it last a lot longer. Even though the races may be, let's say, an hour, and they only last half an hour, they come in and they virtually just pull a battery pack out, like lift the seat, pull a battery pack out and put another one in. But it's the management where they've been winning, the teams have been winning with the management of that power and how it's used.
Well, Walter, the funny thing is a lot of the experimental electrics, not so much in paramotor, but more in ultralights, are using things like the zero motorcycle engines, motors rather. And they've actually gone beyond those because they were too heavy and too inefficient. So they've been going into custom. Some of them actually hand wind their motors, and but yeah, a lot of them are using electric motorcycle tech.
Hey, I'm on their webpage right now looking at their stuff, and I noticed when you go to pre-order one of the units, the only option for the prop is a 140 centimeter prop.
Wow. Good.
Now 147 with an electric motor is going to ramp up like absolutely nothing. It's going to almost instantaneous torque response.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm looking forward. I would love to fly one of these. I would definitely love to give one.
The only thing with that is, again, with an instantaneous torque response, you're going to get an instantaneous torque response in your cage. So it's going to be a little bit different, I would imagine, to fly one of these. But I'm looking forward to it. And that's 10, 15 years from now, nobody's going to be flying gas paramotors. I could be wrong. The battery tech could lag, but within 20 years, I would say that most people are going to be flying electric.
Well, again, I'm on their site looking at this, and they actually have a comparison chart against the Vitarazi.
Oh no, Sean in the chat was saying earlier that I just think chicks like the smell of gas and exhaust. So electric or gas paramotors.
My wife's not too fond of getting it out of my clothes.
I like gas. I used to get behind my granddaddy's muffler when he started the truck and sit there and smell it when I was little and get in trouble.
You ever seen?
I don't reckon.
You guys ever seen the Australian movie The Castle?
Mm-mm.
He's on the lake and he's in a two-stroke boat and he's like, there's nothing like the smell of two-stroke first thing in the morning.
I do love that smell. I'm gonna miss it when we all go to work.
Yeah. I'm the same way, man.
I'll never miss the smell, but I'll probably miss greatly, or I'll never miss greatly, is the cost.
Yeah.
Yep.
I got an old truck that doesn't have a catalytic converter on it. Whenever I stop for gas and people walk around and smell it, they're like, oh yeah, love that smell.
That's right. That's right.
I have one of those, and I love. One thing I don't love is driving down the freeway and watching my gas gauge go.
Yeah.
That's why I love motor racing. The amount of fuels and smells there, nitro, methanol, the racing fuels, the petrols, they're dangerous. They got chemicals in them. You don't want to breathe or touch that stuff.
Well, back on my RC days, Tell me I'm wrong, but any of you guys who've done RC back in the day, there's nothing like nitromethane. The smell of those little tiny nitromethane motors.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah, that smells good.
And castor oil.
Wait, hold on. Are we sitting here talking about huffing different fuels?
Now we know what's wrong with all of us.
Yeah, as long as there's no kids in the chat, kids, don't do this. Don't do this at home. Don't huff.
Yeah, don't do this at home.
All these boomers in here spent their whole lives huffing lead paint and stuff. So, like, that's why they're all so crazy.
Yeah, it offsets it. If you're an RC guy,
bed sheets.
If you're an RC guy, what offsets the smell is when you're winding your prop and it springs back on you, waxing the finger. It's like,
oh yeah. I got stitches from one that started backwards.
Hey, Bob,
it was actually a 50cc gas engine.
Oh,
yeah. Ouch.
Hey, we're when you bring up the topic of what we say here with kids and stuff like that. For some reason, that reminded me, Jordan, when you self-trained, did you ever ground start?
Yes. There was nobody there to teach me to not do that. I never hurt myself, and I never messed up any props, but I definitely did it quite a bit. And you want to avoid doing that whenever possible. That's where most paramotor injuries happen.
So the next question, Jordan, do you ground start your paramotor now?
Every once in a while, for very specific reasons. I also am experienced and confident enough now that I know I'm not going to accidentally stick my hand in there. So it's
what you do is you bolt it to your hitch in the back of your vehicle.
Yeah.
Bolt it on there, ground start it there. Then you have to worry about it moving, and then you can ground start it to your heart's content.
I got a rig in my garage that I use to do, I'll tweak my fuel mixture and stuff at full throttle. I hook it up to the rig in my garage and I just blow it all out in my street and piss my neighbors off while I calibrate my fuel.
I use mine for a leaf blower.
I've seen people do that. It looks pretty effective.
Yeah, it takes about 2 minutes that normally would take me an hour.
I thought about doing that, but I got a big southern oak in my front tree, and the second I started to do that, I saw sticks falling out of the tree, and one almost went in my props. So I was like, no, I'm done.
Yeah, we had a guy on the store not long
you can use it
ago.
as loof, clean up your yard with it.
Yeah.
So on the Open PPG site that I'm looking at here, they do a comparison against gas motors and the electric motor. And it talks about cost. It talks about thrust. You're getting 175 pounds of thrust out of this SP140 electric motor.
I have a 250cc over here. I get barely 175 pounds of thrust out of this thing. So that's really impressive.
Yeah. So 175 pounds thrust versus the top 5 PPGs at 149.88. Cost per 100-hour maintenance, $54 versus $1,169.
You got to remember, electric motors at this point are nearly 100% efficient. So every erg of energy that goes into an electric motor is coming out as rotational energy. It's the weight of the batteries that, again, that's the only holdup we have right now. The only holdup.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, it's the cost that Open PPG is claiming, starting at like $7,000. That's comparable to a new paramotor that you buy a 2-stroke. It's
that's what they say: $69.99 versus $74.29.
Yeah, there's definitely going to be some cost savings there. Like I said, there's no reason why a newcomer shouldn't buy that, with the exception of the range. I think the only thing holding something like that back is the range. I
don't even think that, Jordan, because if you think about it, and I wish Kevin was still here and he would admit to this, when you get new guys into the sport, they're not flying an hour. They're not flying for 2 hours. They're flying 20, 30 minutes and they're coming down.
Yeah.
15 minutes, just get the hang of it and then come down.
That's what I did for the first probably 3-4 months. I just fly for 15, 20 minutes, come back and land.
Well, then again, there is that one thing about talking about newcomers to the sport is whatever you start with, in the back of your mind, that's always your preference. If 10 years from now, somebody is starting out on an electric paramotor that only has maybe a 45-minute range. They can go back to a gas engine and get a 3-hour range. They're always going to prefer that electric in their mind.
Yeah, you're.
So I have a question. I guess it was answered earlier. I don't know when I was baking, but are these gonna be like electric cars? How are you gonna keep it charges up the same way, or?
Yeah, essentially, most of these come with like a charging cord, almost like a laptop, but it's much bigger because there's a lot more electricity going through it. Electric cars, they're kind of different. They have like a plug that like plugs into the car. Like it's like a big thing that's usually either hardwired to your house or you plug it into a 115 volt outlet. So it's a little bit different, but it's the same basic concept. It charges basically the same way.
The big breakthrough is going to be when we have GA electric aircraft. You can kind of land at a municipal airport, hook up to a 50 kilowatt DC charger to power up your electric paramotor and recharge in 5 minutes, and go off you go.
That's the thing. The battery technology that I was showing you guys in that last slide. I didn't even mention its fast charging capabilities. Honestly, its capacity is so impressive that I forgot to even mention that.
Yeah.
So all of those tabs, they allow you to very, very, very rapidly charge and discharge those batteries. So a Tesla nowadays, if you're on DC fast charging, you can do 80% in like 30 minutes. They're trying to do 80% in like 10 minutes or
That's
less.
awesome.
Well, that's the thing, though. With a Tesla, you're talking about charging up a 300 to 400 kilowatt battery in 30 minutes. We're talking about charging up a 10 kilowatt battery that will last you 3 to 4 hours in a paramotor. You can recharge that theoretically at that same rate in 10 minutes.
Hey, Bob, was you in here when he showed the picture of the new Tesla battery? What it looks like inside?
Oh yeah, I've been following that kind of closely.
Yeah, you probably watched Battery Day, Bob. From the sounds of it, you sound like you know a lot about Tesla.
Oh yeah, I watch that religiously.
Nice.
It sounds like we'll be able to do cross countries with electric paramotors for long. We'll just fly from one Tesla's charging station to the next.
There you go.
And recharge at their pre-existing stations they've got for us.
So
in 10 years, when GA goes electric, you're going to be able to do that. Just fly to a local municipal airport, set down, charge up, 10 minutes, go fly for another 3 hours. And
it seemed like a battery swap would be even better. You wouldn't even have to charge; just do a battery swap.
I love that idea. Tesla thought about that in the beginning, and they abandoned it because I'm not actually sure why they abandoned it, but they did.
Cost.
It was probably cost, yeah.
Cost. You gotta have a lot of overhead. You gotta store different batteries, right?
Well, it wasn't so much cost as how much they get back.
Jordan, I think the other advantage with the electric motor, and all of you guys would know because you've got a two-stroke, the simple noise, the harmonics, the vibration, all of that would be gone with electric.
You still get a lot of prop noise, though.
No.
Yeah,
that's 99% of the noise is coming from prop.
Yeah.
You get that when the tip, all of your noise is coming from your tip. Your tip is going really supersonic.
Yeah, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the motor vibration. We're talking about that mass weight rotary. We're talking about the fins that create that zing, zing, zing noise. Okay, when you got a water-cooled motor, you don't get that ringing, ying, ying, ying. That
the sound will be different.
Oh, I know.
What you're talking
You won't get any of that.
No.
You won't get any of that.
You will have zero vibration from the motor itself. It's perfectly linear, smooth. You'll get tip noise, you'll get wind noise from the prop, but you won't get that two-stroke.
Well, that's there anyway.
Yeah, that harmonic. I hate that harmonic sound you're talking about, Walter.
From the
Exactly.
ground, it's not going to be any quieter, but for the pilot, it will make a difference because you won't get any. You're right. That the harmonics is a good way to put it. I
run a Rotax, which is 500cc twin cylinder air cooled, and I'm telling you, I could be up there all day, but that ringing of those fins, it pisses me off. And I made a mistake. I made a mistake going air cooled, not the water cooled engine, which would have given me 30% more power.
Even if I
Hey, are
are
we in the after show? Because it's now 11.
Yeah, it's late.
Are you wanting to get started, Sean? Is that what Shane? Is that what's up?
Well, I wanted to mention something to Amy. I didn't know if she'd understand this or not. But what's the similarities between a cactus and a school bus?
Oh, and you have to do that. You have to do that without a tip jar. Is that what you're saying?
Oh my gosh, cactus in this.
What's the similarities between a cactus and a school bus?
What's going on?
They're both
The cactus has
Did you
the
hear
pricks
her?
on the outside.
Do you hear what she said, Emma Grace? She just said the pricks.
Well, that's close. The cactus has the pricks on the outside.
There you go. And Bess has them on the inside. You're close. Put your head back. Y'all, do y'all like her new hair color?
I'm a fan.
Who's she?
This is
I just told that joke to my wife. I'm not
She's
sure
our
she got it.
senior.
She's the troublemaker of the house.
Uh-oh.
What'd you call? What'd she say?
I said she's the troublemaker of the house.
Y'all are both Geminis. I don't want to hear it. He's the troublemaker. I just follow suit.
Oh,
Nailed
it.
Oh, no.
Nailed it.
Apple fell far.
Jordan, you see what you're getting into, right, Jordan? You're bringing a community to this world.
I know.
Yeah.
You're Gemini. When were you born?
18th.
And
June.
Emma Grace must be born the 18th, but she was born the 13th because I'm with my doctor.
I was born the 10th.
Really? You're all Geminis. That's what's wrong.
That's what's wrong with us.
No, that's what's right with us.
Hey,
Hey, we have two. Hey, we have a diplomatic inside of us. You know what I mean? We have diplomacy inside of us. We have both sides. We have the evil and the good, right?
yeah, but I haven't seen Sean's evil side. I don't think he's two-sided like you and Emma Grace are.
Oh, I seen it when he was getting aggressive on me in the air, like John Ripa.
Oh my! You were the aggressive one, dude.
That's bull crap, Brian. I wish you could have seen it. I was trying to run.
No, you weren't.
It was either let him come into me or me go into the thermals, and I took the thermals. I hated it.
Hey, you flew higher than he did. I don't know how he's gonna
Yeah, that's why I was up there. I got away from him.
He was trying to attack me and try to tip my tip.
Yeah, he tried to touch my tip. He was like a vulture.
No, you're the vulture flying up higher. I can see you up there watching him, then having to come down on him. I can see it.
Yeah.
Well, hey guys, I just want to say, Jordan, I appreciate you coming on the show, man. It was really, really nice to meet you at Swanee Pear Fest. I've really enjoyed listening to your story, and I look forward to hearing your future, man, and flying with you. I'll be back down at Lake Wales in February. Hopefully we can hook up, maybe do some more flying.
Yeah, awesome.
This is a great show.
Oh yeah, this show's been a blast.
Learned a lot.
That's what I told Amy a while ago. I said, I've learned more from this podcast than I have any of the others, Sean. I'm sorry.
we spent a long time talking about electric paramotors, and that was very interesting.
Yeah.
I wish we had more time to spend on his designs that he put into his gas powered paramotors and a lot of different things. But we got a lot of really good information out of them.
And then another episode. Catch me on another episode. I'll talk all about it.
Yeah, we just do it again.
Yeah,
we do it every week.
Yeah.
Oh, we can always do a bonus podcast.
Yes, I was fixing to say.
There's so many of these shows on nowadays, and I try to catch every single one of them, but I was only catching you guys on replays. It's like, damn it, who's actually hosting these? I have to get on there on the page, and I finally find you guys because Linda.
Oh, Linda.
Very good. Good job,
Linda. Hey, real quick, Bob, what is for a free t-shirt, Bob, what is Linda's new .com?
Oh, please remind me.
Oh, I know.
Bob, don't say Bob.
You make it linda.com.
linda.com.
Oh, OnlyFans, is it?
OnlyFans.
Mom.com.
What is it?
Hey, Jordan, I'm just on the East Coast from you, by the way, over in Melbourne.
Oh, nice. I have yet to fly over there.
At Palm Bay, the compound.
I wanted to.
The compound.
I want to.
So far for Shane to go.
There's a flying in March.
11th
at the
through
compound.
11th
What is
through
it?
15th. The 11th through the 15th.
Yeah.
So Jordan and Shane.
Yeah.
I'm down at Aviator in Florida at the beginning of February, basically the first 2 weeks of February. We're going to be jumping out of a plane for the first time ever.
Wow.
So if any of you want to come join me,
Nope.
Nope.
we're going to be skydiving.
Nope.
Nope.
I'll come fly around.
I did that in the
No,
military.
Paramotor.
huh?
Hell to the no.
Chicken fry.
My son did it, and I'm telling you right now, dude, there's no way. I would rather go up to 4,800 feet and have a full frontal collapse and any day of the week than jump out.
Well,
of a plane.
we're going to do that too in the SIV class.
Yeah, I know, and that's nothing.
I like my thrills to last a little bit longer.
Ooh.
And just so you know, Brian Haybale is booked for what is it, the 8th of February?
That sounds about right.
To discuss some SIV on here. So that's going to be really fun. So if you haven't subscribed, definitely subscribe and hit that little bell notification.
Has Jordan had any SIV?
I have not. I have people around me that can certify me, but I just never got around to doing it.
So have you thought about doing it?
I have no reason not to. I should, because I'll be able to fly at like a couple gatherings coming up here soon. But no, I don't have any certification or anything like that.
No,
SIV doesn't give you an instructor rating. It's basically
No.
go ahead, Shane.
So SIV course, they tow you up by boat with no motor on your back. You're free flying. They tow you up. You pin off, so you disconnect from the boat, and then he has you start collapsing your wing. And then as you're going through the collapse, he talks you in out of the collapse and how to fix it, and it makes you a better pilot.
Yeah, I've heard of these.
Yeah.
You get to toss the laundry too.
Yeah, which is your reserve.
Really interested in
it.
Dude, you're close to one of the best schools in the country, Skylab.
Yep. Skylabs.
Yep. Everybody everybody all over the United States go to Skylabs.
This brings me to a fun story. Ready? I keep wanting to go parasailing, and I keep telling Mark, "You need to go. Let's go parasailing. Let's go parasailing in the Turks and Caicos." I said, "Let's go parasailing there. It's beautiful." He goes, "I'm not going to parasail over that water. There's going to be sharks and all that stuff." I said, "What do you think you do for SIV?" He goes, "Well," I said, "It's over water."
Fresh water. No
Fresh
sharks,
water.
just
Thank
alligators.
you. Thank you. Just alligators.
Yeah, it's not
Hey.
It's going to be up in the air with the wing over water. But
Brian,
At least you
that
haven't
water's
got-
going to be cold. It's going to
Let's
be
Especially in February.
Yes, it's going to be in the low. It's going to be in the low 50s. That water temperature, guaranteed.
Oh, dude, I know how cold that is too. Oh, yeah, that's bad.
Doesn't that sound more
That's
fun to go
August around here.
Hey, if you don't throw your laundry, Brian, and you land back on the land, you don't have to worry about it.
Unless you're Shane.
Yeah, I didn't even get to throw my laundry, and I ended up in the water.
All right, guys. A real quick segue here. Actually, literally, I was talking earlier about Scott Carboni and his work that he does with one wheels and stuff. So you guys, it should be up on the screen now. Can you guys see that?
Yep.
So I posted the link in the chat as well. He operates out of Newport Richey here in the Tampa metro area. I'm sure he can ship stuff to you. So take a look at the link in the chat if you want it. Or right here, it's eCarve. Just Google eCarve Tampa or eCarve Newport Richey, and you should be able to come across the website. He sells a wide range of electric scooters, one wheels, that type of thing. So he can hook you up. He can answer any questions you might have, and yeah, there you go.
I'll trade him a paramotor frame for a one wheel.
No, you don't need
He
a
flies paramotors too, so you might.
I have a question.
There you go, Jordan. You said you were eyeing one wheels, man. It sounds like you got the hookup already.
I do. I just don't have the disposable cash at the moment.
Yeah, no.
See, I have a question. though.
1900 for that XR, isn't it?
I can't convince my wife to let me buy one right now, but give me a minute.
I have a question for everybody who rides one.
Hey,
wheel.
hush, mine's on here. She might hear something she's not supposed to.
Oh,
Nobody has disposable cash.
No.
Oh, I'd love to have that.
So what Brian mentioned, he saw me flying in like really bad conditions. What I was doing at at the fly-in is I was trying to kind of push my limits a little bit. That weather I wasn't 100% comfortable with, but I wanted to get comfortable with it. So I kind of like went out of my comfort zone just a tiny bit. This is something I would like to do for that same reason. I would definitely like to push my comfort zone.
Yeah.
I would say maybe I'm ready for this, but this looks pretty intense.
Yeah. Yeah.
I tell you what, you it's more in your head than it is actual danger.
Okay.
You put in your head that the world's going to come to an end, and it's really not that bad.
How high are they pulling you guys up there, Shane?
By boat? You start.
How high? How high? What's the altitude?
You can go up to 5,500 feet.
Wow, nice.
I got pulled up. I think the highest I've been is 4,800 feet, and it was cold up there, and I was wet from falling in the water earlier.
Yeah, they couldn't get you to 5,500, Shane.
No, I'm good. I was good at 4,800 to be honest with you.
Like this, your wing is called a stall ball when you start pulling it in like that. So that's a
stall ball.
Yep.
So
really
your reserve is out. You're trying to.
Are you pulling your wing all the way in?
Yes.
Yes.
What if you can't? What if you can't pull your wing all the way in?
Well, it just keeps the lines from coming around you.
Yeah. So you land in the water.
Yes.
You don't.
Yeah, you got to.
No, you don't have to.
But you come down pretty quick on reserve.
95% of the time you do.
Like if this was actual land that I landed on, it would hurt.
Yeah, I would imagine.
Yeah, reserve will save your life. It'll break your back. It'll save your life.
Right. Your reserve will make you want to die.
I wish you died.
One of the things
like, why even have one?
So I just want to show you this too, because it only took like 100 seconds from when he said pull reserve, floating down and then being picked up by the boat.
Dude, that'd be the longest 100 seconds ever.
I will tell you though, honestly, your brain is playing tricks on you. You go up there and you're just like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. But after you land, after you do what you got to do, and you're like, oh, that wasn't that bad. But you worked yourself
Isn't
up.
that like all that shit that's like adrenaline rush? It's like, oh shit. And then when you go on the ground, hell, that was fun. Let's do it again.
And guess what?
Sean, was that your wing?
No, that was a 22 or 23 meter wing.
A rental?
That Andrew had. And it was an A wing, but it really carved up more than my B wing does. And our square jar is still on the table, by the way. So
sorry. Well, golly,
there's still a super chat.
I'm pretty hesitant. I get my brand new wing in like 2 weeks.
No, don't use your wing to go into the water. You don't want to do that.
You can use it before that. When you start going into full stalls and stuff, he'll have you on his wing. The things that you'll do with your wing are major, but they're not catastrophic, if you will. You'll
learn like big ears and stuff like that.
Yeah, you'll do 50% deflations. You'll do 50% deflations leaning into the deflation and away from the deflation. You'll do full frontals. You'll do big ears. You'll do. Sean, did he have you do the descent technique where you just pull your brakes all the way down to your butt and then let it back up and then pull it back down? And
the flat bird flapping. Yeah.
He had me do. I went to 3 different SIVs with him, and over those different SIV courses, we went and did many different things. The second time that I did it, I did the reserve toss, which was really good. It's one of those. The first 2 that I did, I had my Roadster 3. And over the course of 1 year with 2 SIV courses and doing, the things that I did, my lines were stretched so much that when I sent it into Cloud9, it was deemed not flyable. Got to put on, $700 worth of lines and get them fixed. If you do a lot of acro on your wing, even though it's brand new, within a year, it will be deemed not flyable unless you get the lines repaired and a lot of stuff done. So acro is good to learn on something, but once you learn it, not necessary anymore, unless you got a lot of money to just get out there and buy some wings and, you know, repair your lines.
I got one more question about the Skylab SIV, and this is an important one, and I'm sure Shane can answer it. Will it be a big deal for me to take major?
Yes. Because if you're on the peninsula thing, the what are they, where were you and I at, Sean?
Yeah, it was on like a kind of like a island
dike?
type of thing.
Like a dike?
You had to get there by boat or by airboat.
So you're talking a dog around water that's infested with alligators.
Yeah.
Well, you know, Major, man, I can put his chair out. He'll sit in it and be good.
Well, it's not, but there's no boat room for dogs, unfortunately.
Okay. Well, I was going to run it by Andrew. Because
Yeah.
Major's going to be with me for 2 weeks, and I'm doing that in the middle of that 2-week period. So
I would
find a way. You'll find a way.
As a born Floridian, I'm telling you right now, on the news there are dogs getting eaten by gators daily. So and I'm not,
But
no, I'm not
Sean,
trying to make it,
I've actually seen dogs surf. So teach a dog to paraglide.
There you go.
I'm not
he's
trying
not
to make,
announced.
I would not have that dog out there. That is wilderness when you're out there, just so you know.
Yeah, just be careful. Think about it.
And I do know Major, and I know he will stay in the chair, but if he decides to go get a drink of water,
It becomes bait.
Yeah, it's just I don't know if I'd be willing to risk it. I wouldn't do it with my dog. I know for a fact. And hell no.
I wouldn't bring my dog either, and I love my dogs.
If this is the same water that we're going to be landing in, that you wouldn't bring your dog to.
Yes.
Like
Yeah, but you're bigger than the dog.
Here's the difference. Here's the difference. A dog that's size of Major is what they're used to eating. Humans are a lot larger, and they don't really want to have to fight to kill something. They want something they can grab and just take in the water and be done with it.
Yeah.
If you fight your larger animal, they don't really want anything to do with you because they're kind of lazy.
Yeah, but they do take down gazelle and deer, so you know, I don't know. So be careful.
No, that's
what they don't want is this fast food eating paramotor pilot.
Yeah.
I never thought anything about it when I landed in the water. You know, nothing but a couple of bites on my feet, but no big deal. You know, it's all right.
Shut up, Sean, or I'll never go. Shut up. I'll never go. I will never go if you keep talking.
Anyway, I can't get you to with me.
Keep talking. I'll never go.
Hey,
That's
John,
a
I used to swim in the ocean.
Just kidding.
Until I started fishing off the beach.
Yeah.
And then, when you can cast out off the beach and wind in a 6-foot bull shark from 3-foot water, you're like, maybe I won't swim out there too much anymore.
No, I got a video for you.
You're not helping Brian for him to go parasailing with me. Quit.
That's never happening.
Brian,
if you ever fly over the ocean, you will never swim in it.
Trust me, I'm never gonna swim in it. Hey, I will never swim anywhere where I'm become food. You know what I mean?
Brian.
What amuses me most about these things is you got a lot of you guys from down south are talking. It's like you're talking like summer weather, and you're talking, oh, it's too cold because the water's gonna be down 55 degrees in August. That's the warm temperature around here.
Well, that's why you're in outer space.
This is true.
You guys are lucky. When you splash in the water, I hear the gators piss off, but the crocs here, if they hear water splash,
they go straight there. Yeah, you're in Australia, dude. Everything wants to eat you.
Yeah, no kidding. The spiders want to eat you in Australia.
In Australia, you get those like thimble-sized jellyfish that will kill you.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Are those the man of war you're talking about?
No, those are huge.
Oh no,
I think Australia still has stuff that hadn't even been
jellyfish or something
that will kill you.
I have a question about the SIV. Shane was talking about how when you're up there and everything, you just focus and do it. I look at the video of Sean. I just don't see how I'm going to be able to focus ever and just do what they tell me to do. I just see myself freaking out my brain.
Because you have a guy that's in your ear.
Yeah.
Everything's going in chaotic, and this guy is literally talking to you as you're doing whatever. And I'm not saying free falling like you're literally free falling, but you are losing altitude, and he's talking to you. Okay, Amy, what I want you to do is do a little right brake, a little bit more.
Yeah.
Okay. And he's so calming. I'm telling you, if you just listen to the instructor, he's not going, oh my God, Amy, pull right brake, hurry up.
Well, I know that, but it's just like it's all happening
going
so
down
fast.
now, you're gonna die.
Oh my God, Amy! No, not the left one, the right one. I mean the right, not the left one, the right one.
It is.
Dude,
so,
look at all these sharks.
You hear, Mark? That's what I live with on a regular basis.
But you won't hear that.
Stingray.
Amy, you'll just hear him just tell you what to do in a very calm and collective manner. It is. I was in a worse. The first time I went with Sean, I got into a downward spiral because my wing folded under, and I mean I was one second from being just overwhelmed.
Dude.
And
Amy, what it is at one time you got to listen to the man.
That's right.
When Matt was showing me how to do the
She
throttle, I was
listens to
so
the man every day.
I listened to him. That's far different than just like, oh my gosh, let's collapse our wing and all that. Because
Flying barefoot over sharks.
Correct me if I'm wrong, because I have not taken one of these classes, but by the time you take an SFA course, you've had enough hours, you're confident in your basic flying skills.
Yeah.
When you take an SIV, it's going to be no different. And listen to your instructor on that first time when he says, okay, pull the brake, don't sit, don't sit.
Yeah. I'm hoping it just seems a lot more intense.
It's not, but he's not going to have you go up there and go, okay, you're going to do a sat right now. You're going to do a couple of small things. No, you're going to ease into different things. And if you're not comfortable with it, you literally just sit there. And he'll go, okay, if you're not wanting to do this, kick your feet or whatever. He's not going to tell you.
Years, right? Yeah.
Yeah, he's not going to talk you into anything that you don't want to. If you don't want to do it, guess what? You don't have to do it.
And
you are the pilot command.
First, you actually talk with him first and say, hey, this is something that I'd like to learn. First class that I went to, one of the guys only wanted to learn big ears, and that was it.
So do they price you based upon how much you want to do, or
no, it's just $400 a day.
Okay.
Get what you can get.
He teach you to your
$400 a day. I'm gonna do barrel rolls and flips.
I was going to say that's what they're going to do to you, Amy. They're going to be all right now, Amy. I want you to ease into the left brake. Now ease into the right a little harder. Now, do you feel that? You're doing a barrel roll. It's not that bad, is it?
I've been looking into it, and from what I've watched and all the videos I've watched, they teach you to your skill level. They will not go beyond. They will try to push you a little beyond so you can learn. But once they hit, they can tell that.
Sean,
what's going on here, man?
Sean, is that at your house, Sean?
This is over at Andrew's place.
Oh, I
they're
thought you did something at your house.
They're doing a hang test. They're showing how it releases.
He has a whole crew. Don't you know that?
Oh, I thought that was one of those devices you hang at your house.
They twist you around to show you what it feels like to be in a riser twist. You know, so you're safe on the ground. It's like, oh, okay, so this is a riser twist. That's not too bad.
Sean, I'm so glad you got this part of the intro.
Well,
I sat in there. He said, okay, that's what you need. And then, yeah. So the very first time I took off, dude, I was about ready to pee my pants.
Why?
Because you know, as the boat's pulling you and the riser thing, whatever's attached to the pin, is vibrating every now and then on the carabiners. I was like, oh my God.
Screw that.
I'm like I didn't understand what it was. And then after I figured it out, I was like, oh, this is nothing. Like literally your mind is playing so much, just playing tricks on you, and you just this is where you're going to be at. Well, you just missed it, but Brian, this is right here's where your dog would be. This is where
he would get eaten.
And that's the dike right there. And then there's water on both sides of it. So somebody would have to keep an eye on him, make sure he doesn't go towards the water.
Yeah, I figured there'd always be somebody on the land. There's somebody in a boat, somebody going up. We got 5 in our group.
If there's 5 in a group, then everybody's going to have to keep an eye on the dog. It makes my stomach hurt when I think about it, dude, to be honest with you. But I mean,
man, them suckers will come right up on the land and snatch him.
So that was Leah Catullo. She helps you get into your harness, and she tells you about different ways. And this is where you launch from, right here.
Yep.
A bunch of people that are watching you.
And right behind the camera right here is like a 12-foot tall white cross. And the last time I was out there was 2 buzzards sitting on top of it.
For the alligator eat you.
That is,
yeah, we're going to go parasailing first.
But honestly, I'm telling you, it's all in your head when you start doing this. You are so scared that the world's going to end as soon as that boat takes up.
And they go through and they walk through everything. They make sure that the doors are shut and everything's straight. I mean, they walk you through everything. This is the entire documentary that I have for the first 2 days of one of my SIB courses. And you're more than welcome to watch it. Matter of fact, I'll put in the link down below so you can watch it.
That'll be good. It just makes me feel like Murphy's Law with me involved.
I'm telling you, Amy, once you do this course, you'll have the confidence that'll improve your flying like there's no tomorrow.
Exactly.
It'll take 1 day of doing this will turn you into a 2-year pilot with confidence.
Exactly what I thought.
This is the one thing I wish they did, where if you're training to be a GA pilot, within your first hour or 2, you're already doing stalls. I would love to have a paramotor training course that I don't want to do SIV during training, but I want to do basic stalls, basic stall recovery, something you can do safely as an early pilot, because it increases your confidence level so much and increases your safety level so much. Because you may take off from a perfectly mild weather and you hit like 2,000 feet and your wind goes 180 degrees in reverse and you pull a frontal. If you did this during training, you know what to do right off the bat. It's instinctive. I really wish they did what they do in GA in paramotor training.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's some companies out there, and
here's a beeline stall where I'm pulling the beelines. And it's so difficult to pull these lines and make this wing collapse. I mean, yes. I am pulling my entire body down. I'm trying to do a pull-up on these lines. And Andrew keeps on saying, pull the beelines, pull the I'm like, I'm trying. I'm doing everything I can. I'm like, my hands are cramping, my arms are cramping. And once you start pulling these lines down, you realize that, these things are just not coming down. It's really amazing to see how,
It takes.
Yeah, it takes so much.
I found out if you try to slowly pull them down, it's a lot harder. If you do a real quick jerk, it's a lot easier to get it to fold up.
Yeah, that's what he keeps on calling me, is a quick jerk. I'm like, I'm not a jerk. I swear to God, I'm not a jerk.
I know with my old Mojo, that thing, in order to pull a real stall, you have to pull all the way down your hips, and it's not easy. With a high performance wing, it's a little easier. But if you're starting off on an A wing, it's very. I mean, all you have to do, if you get in a bad situation,
here's the A-line stall, pulling down the A's.
Just raise your arms and the wings
as hard as I can, and the darn thing just keeps on popping back up, no matter how hard I pull.
Well, that's the
Mojo.
Mojo.
Guys, I'm gonna bail on y'all, man.
Mojo, if you pull all the way down
later, Brian.
hips.
All right, Brian.
All right, later, Brian.
Peace out, guys. Hey, thanks, Jordan. Glad to have you, man.
When you're pulling on those, are you?
Hey, thanks for inviting me, Brian. Hey, everybody. Sorry to interrupt. I actually have to take off too. Now's a pretty good time.
Hey, Jordan, it was good talking to you, man. I got a lot of information.
Oh yeah. I love the information. It's a great show.
Yeah, it was great talking to you. I learned a lot too from you guys. So I would love to see you guys again on the show. Please reach out to me if you ever want to do this again, and I will be happy to join.
Hey, when you get that electric paramotor built, email me and we'll showcase it for you.
Yeah, man, I'm gonna come fly it over your house.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Hey, I'm not too far away from them, so I'll come down and video and fly too.
Nice.
Y'all can take off at the park. It's like 2 minutes from our house.
Yeah,
Jordan, I'll drive over to Tampa and ride up with you.
Let's do it.
Oh, there you go.
Who's going to Bad Apples? Who's going to Bad Apples?
I am.
Okay, we got one.
Thank you, Jordan.
You got to be going to Palm Bay too, Jordan.
When is Bad Apples?
That's May
13th, I think. Through this, I have it open. Hold on a second. May.
Yeah, I can make that.
Jordan, you're not going to Palm Bay?
I might. I got to look at the exact dates.
Palm Bay is May 11th through 15th. So when's Bad Apples again?
13th through the 16th.
Of May.
It's in May, the same dates.
No, one's in March. Palm Bay's in March. Bad Apples is in May.
You said Palm Bay was when? March
11th through the 15th.
Yeah, that's a 13th through that's a Thursday through a Monday. So I would definitely be able to be there for some of those days for sure. I will definitely try to make it. I'll try to round up some people from my group as well. Those guys love any excuse to take their campers out and stuff. So.
And Bad Apples is in May?
Yes.
Yes.
When in May is it?
It's 13th through the 16th.
I might be able to make that.
Well, keep in mind, I think this date has changed like 3 times already because of
Yeah.
the coronavirus. So, yeah, assume at this point, like after 2020, assume everything is just like a tentative. That's what I do.
But
Whose
Mark
video is
Mark Elroy would definitely be at both of those, Sean, just so you know, both fly-ins.
Oh, cool. I will try my best to be there too. I mean, it's almost before
I
my
could definitely
birthday, so I
do
gotta
March
go.
because that's spring break.
You
All right,
choose
well,
right?
It was an honor to chill with all you guys. Hopefully, I will see you all soon.
Oh yeah, I look forward to it.
Be watching for the next
Jordan,
episode. So
I'm very impressed with you. It was a great show. Loved listening to you.
Yay.
thank you.
Thank you, Jordan. Thank you for
Have
your
a good one.
service.
Thanks for joining us,
so
man.
much.
All right, you all have a good night.
You too.
Night.
Yeah.
Until next time.
Congratulations.
Woohoo!
Okay, so what I was asking you before, Sean, is that when you were pulling on those,
Yeah.
it looked like in the video you let loose some of them and they pop back open. So are you supposed to pull them all the way down and hold them down to keep it collapsed, or what?
Pull them down, hold them down, pull them down, let them go. It's just, over a couple of times of going up there and doing this, you realize that it takes so much effort to collapse a wing. And when you collapse it, it doesn't take but a second for the darn thing to go pop and it's back out
Yeah,
again.
because that's what I noticed in the video. You got it to come down a little bit, then they pop back up.
Yeah,
But Amy, you don't feel like you're falling at all. You pull it, you don't feel like you just jumped off a cliff and you're free falling. You don't honestly feel that way. It's just a pull, and you're looking at your wing, so you don't look at the ground. You're looking at your wing because you need to look at your wing. That's the most important thing at that time.
And if you bring your paramotor, you can actually launch your paramotor, go over to the place that we're doing the SIV, and then fly back.
I saw that guy on the paramotor. I was wondering what they were doing.
Yeah, that
I'm
was
glad you said
Neil.
it, Shane, because that's my whole fear, the fear of feeling like you're free falling. I hate that feeling.
You won't have that. I honestly never felt that. I did several different things. The full frontal scared the living daylights out of me until I did it, and then I was just like, well, that's nothing. Like, honestly, it's no different doing a full frontal than it is big ears. I mean, the rate that you fall is not enough to where you lose your stomach. And I'm all jokes aside, it made me, I just canceled or deleted this video that I was editing from this last trip that I did. You see me, my legs are just swinging. I would have never have flown in that prior to the SIV course. I would have taken off, turned around and landed, been like, nope, packed my stuff up and went home. My legs are swinging like this, and I got both hands in my lap going, that wing isn't doing nothing that I'm worried about. It literally just flies. And it's because of the SIV course. It's not being cocky. It's understanding how much it takes to destroy that wing for even a millisecond. I wasn't in any kind of wind that would have caused my wing to collapse. And I purposely flew in turbulence of trees, and I was so comfortable. I truly never even got my heart rate up at no point. And I was just like, man, I can't believe how scared I was to fly at first. And how many times I've missed out on good flights because I hit a little bump or a little bit of wind kind of got me swinging. I'm like, dude, man up, because
and this is why I fly midday, because I know that my wing, even though there might be some bumps, it's not going to fail. I'm going to be out there and I'm going to be super fine. And if it does collapse, no problem. Just go, I'm done. It opens back up and I'm good. If it does it does spin around, no problem. I have a reserve. I pull a reserve and I float down. It's no big deal.
Nothing against Sean, Shane, because I love Shane's videos, but I've been watching Shane's videos from the early days.
I'm sorry.
In the early days, he was super worried about doing these things. But once he did them and he realized that, oh my God, this is really no big deal because I have an instructor here with me. He's in my ear. I'm doing this. And he came out of it 100 times better pilot.
Oh, yeah. My
I like making chicken casserole.
Yeah.
Chicken casserole. What are you talking about? Chicken casseroles?
His famous YouTube video.
No, it's
making a chicken casserole.
Creamy chicken ranch crock pot dish or something. I don't even know what the name of it is.
Shane went from a I don't know, a fillet to a chicken pot pie.
Yeah.
in his worry level.
Oh, dude, I fly now, and even the guy Jason Russell Smith that's in the chat, he goes to all the fly-ins with me, and he told me, he's like, dude, he's like, there's a couple bumps I hit. He's like, before you would have jumped back onto the ground, didn't matter where you were at, you would have landed up or downwind, upwind, sidewind. It wouldn't have mattered. You'd have just got on the ground and been like, I'm done. I'm walking my stuff back. Now he turns around. He's like calling me on the phone going, you're still up here? I'm like, yeah, why? He's like, you're not bothered by any of this? I go, no, I'm good. Ever since that SIV course, it has made me way. That's why I'm wanting to go back again. I'm going back for a third time. I just haven't done set up any. I haven't made a permanent date yet, but I'm ready to do. Well, I will tell you, the last time I went, I wanted to do spiral downs until I did spiral downs at the SIV course, because there's 5 levels. There's 5 levels to Andrew's spiral downs. Spiral, 1, you just turn a little bit and you kind of get going. 2, you're getting a little bit more. 3, 4, 5. Well, he had me go from 1 to 3, which got me a little wide-eyed. Then I went back to 2 and then to 4. When I hit 4, he's like, okay, hold it there. I'm like, nope, coming back out.
He said, hell no.
I reset up into the wind. He's like, all right, Shane, we're gonna go to 2. So I went to 2. He goes, all right, we're going to 4. I said, I got into 4. He's like, now hold it. He wanted me to do 2 or 3 full 360s. I couldn't get into more than 1. And then I went back into the wind again, and he goes, all right, Shane, we're going to go from nothing to 3. And I got into 3, and I'm comfortable with 3. It makes me still wide-eyed because you start feeling the G-forces and you start, getting into your seat. And he goes, we're going to go from 3 to 5. I immediately let out. I'm not even trying that. No. And you know what? The dude never once said, well, you got to do it, man. You got to do it. If you're not comfortable,
Right.
He's like, all right. Well, he's like, well, let's do, he's on the radio. So I'm giving him communications, whether it's with my feet or with the wing. And he's like, well, if you just want to learn some descent techniques, give me big ears. So I just gave him big ears because, first of all, when you hit that many G's, it messes you up, like internally. It throws things off.
For the first time.
Yeah. And I mean, I do spiral downs now.
Are you saying you were flustered?
No, I was
It's
lack
balls
of oxygen. I was lack of blood to my head because it all went to my feet during those G's. I see how, honestly, I can see how people black out, no problem. When I hit 4 and I did one full 360, I mean, when I straightened back out, I was just like, whoa. Like I felt lightheaded instantly. I was just like, holy crap.
Yeah.
And then he wanted me to go to 5. I was like, there is no way. No way. 5 is like looking straight down at the ground. Your wing is literally, so your feet are at the horizon and your wing is at the horizon, and you're just
parallel.
You're just going circle straight
And
to the
when
ground.
you do that, Shane, it is amazing.
Well, I couldn't get. Listen, I'm not the kind of guy that will BS you and tell you I can do it. If I can't do it. So I'm not going to tell you I can do it. I am honest. I am 100% honest with this show, and I'm 100% honest with myself. I know for a fact going into number 5 would have killed me.
Might have make you pass out.
I think so.
But the takeaway from all this is your instructor will listen to you and only push you as far as you can go.
And that's why I respect him, and that's why I continue to go back to him, because I'm comfortable with him. I feel that I won't be. Matter of fact, the very last time I got pulled up, the line broke about 3,000 feet. And he's like, oh, go ahead and put the, I had just a parachute, which is the part that's hooked to you that you pin off from. He's like, just go ahead and put that in your lap. So I put it in my lap, and he's like, all right, we're going to go ahead and start doing some spiral downs. Well, I had already gone up to 4,800 feet and froze took us off. And now I'm at 3,000 feet, freezing my butt off again. And I just picked up a wet parachute and put it in my lap that was been freezing in the wind. And I put it on my lap. I start shaking, like from being cold.
Yeah.
And he's like, all right, Shane, let's go ahead and do a left spiral. And I was like, nope, not doing it. Like, I just wanted to get below 2,000 feet where it started warming up. And he's like, well, if you don't want to do anything, just kick your feet, and then I'll see if that's what you want to do, then I'll see you back down on land. That was it. There was no argument. There was no, you got to do something. It's up to you as a pilot to do what you're comfortable with doing. And I learned a couple descent techniques on the way back down, and I did some wing overs that I actually kind of scared myself a little bit because I got a little cray-cray. I was like, whoa, I need to calm that down. And yeah, dude, I mean, he watches you the whole time you're up there. He's in your ear. It's a really amazing class, and it truly does make you a better pilot. I mean, if you're concerned or worried, take that class and it'll ease everything. It really will.
My next wing is going to be a Speedster 3, and I'll take a SIV with that Speedster.
I'm waiting to get to my Spider 3.
You fly so low.
I will stick with my F1 because I love it.
What'd you say, Amy?
I'm surprised that Sean went to SIV since he flies so low all the time.
Well, that's the most dangerous flying you can do.
Yeah.
Being 50 feet and under is the most dangerous flying you can do. Because guess what? If you're at 50 feet and your motor stops, the first thing you're going to do is dive about, I don't know, to about 15 feet. Your wing's just going to go woof. And then you've got all this speed build up. And if you don't know how to control it, or if you don't have enough energy, you just smack the ground at, so if you're at 75 feet and your motor dies, it swoops down and then it levels out and you just come in and land like you normally do. If it's at 4 feet and your motor dies, well, hope you can run 25, 30 miles an hour, because that's what's going to happen.
Sean, you fly higher then.
I actually had a motor out while I was foot dragging, and I actually have that on a video someplace.
Yeah, but your feet were on the ground.
No, they were going above the. I was foot dragging a bunch of mud and water, so I went up, and then as I was going up, my motor went out, and I came down and crashed. I have it on video.
Let's watch that.
I will tell you, in my opinion, in that situation, I always go in it. So I've had 2 landings where I landed as a baseball player sliding into first base or into second base with one knee bent, the other one straight out. And I can tell you, those are pretty doggone easy landings that I've had. But they weren't real close to the ground. Like I knew I was coming in downwind or whatever. One time I landed with my trimmers out, and I knew right before my feet hit that I was never going to run that out. And I just bent my leg back and the other one out front and slid in and stood up at the end of it like it was meant to be. Instead of butt landing.
Yeah. See, my worst landing, I don't have a motor yet. For all practical purpose, I'm a paraglider pilot.
Really?
So my worst is going off of a cliff, doing a little ridge soaring for like 10, 15 minutes, and then coming down and hitting wet gravel and face planting in wet gravel. And it's not fun, but it is what it is.
I've got over 270 flights now. I'm on my original cage, original prop, original frame, original motor. I have not damaged any equipment, and everybody says knock on wood. I'm not saying it's not going to happen.
Okay, Are you on original exhaust?
Not original exhaust. That's why I didn't say exhaust. Or silencer.
Oh, really? The silencer's new too?
Yeah, that went out in North Carolina. I actually took off, got up about 75 feet, and my motor died, and I was heading downwind or upwind. So what I did is I did a 180 and turned around and landed in tall grass because I knew I wasn't going to make the runway to turn again. So I said, screw that. I'm not turning. I'm just going to land in tall grass. And I landed just fine. But what happened was the packing let loose and clogged up the end of the exhaust and killed my motor.
So did you have to replace the whole silencer, or you just had to put some new packing?
No, actually the Visorati was nice enough not to cover my $350 exhaust, but to cover the $50 silencer.
Yeah, that's what I would have done.
Yeah. Did your exhaust go, or was it caked with oil?
No, my exhaust cracked in Ohio at Dave Purdon.
Do you ever do you spray your exhaust down with WD-40 at all ever?
On the outside, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
I was actually told by my teacher from class that I don't run my motor hard enough and that I over warm it. I don't need to warm up. I told him on my warm up process. He's like, "Oh, that's too much. You can cut out 3 minutes of that." So that's what I started doing, and next thing you know, my exhaust cracked.
Yeah, I've actually heard the opposite. I've heard most of the people that I've heard have had a crack in the exhaust. It's not a overly warm warming. It's a too rapid cooling when you're done. I've heard a lot of people say that if they idle their engine after they land to let the motor cool down more gradually, it doesn't crack.
I was 2 hours into my flight when my exhaust cracked.
Huh. Yeah, I was actually flying probably a good hour and a half when I heard my motor go from its normal tone to a whole different tone, and I was like, I actually thought there was a plane behind me, like a actual plane. I kept looking over, going, "Where's that plane at?" And when I landed and I looked at my exhaust, boom, I had a cracked exhaust.
Does anybody have any MY20s crack, or is the older design?
No, only the Y19 seemed to be the problem. I have about 15 hours. What is it? I was 71, 80. So I'm sorry, I have 11 hours on this new Y20. A friend of mine, Jason, has 180 hours on his Y20 and no problems. Still going strong.
So where they have the expansion joints now, kind of fix it, or
I 100% believe that. Yes.
That and the double spring.
Yeah, I got the Vortex Aero, the new one, and I think that this will last me like forever before I even have to even think about getting a new one. I don't think this is.
Sean, I got a buddy that's got a Vortex, and it just broke the other day.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
I saw someone on Facebook today that had an Adam 80 that cracked.
Uh-oh, Linda, your Tinder date's here. All right, guys, my wife just told me it's bedtime, so
yeah,
my wife
just told me it's
bedtime too, so I got to go.
She's
right. All right, guys, talk to y'all later. Peace.
Right, good evening. Night, everybody.
Good night, Sean. Good night,
Definitely
Shane.
Keep this show.
Good night, Bob.
Because I'm usually on Nick's show, but sometimes I'm bored. Just saying.
Was he on tonight?
No. If Nick's on, he's got I'm a moderator on his channel, so I'll always go on his. But if he's not on, I'll go on whatever's on. But tonight, not to bum anybody out, but I found out my youngest brother is now on a ventilator from the that shall not be mentioned virus.
No, so sorry to hear that.
So I've been trying to divert my brain from thought of that, and this has helped greatly. So
good. I'm glad, Bob. I'm glad you came over. It's been a while since we chatted.
Yeah. Sorry.
yeah.
Absolutely. Love you, Bob.
Anyway, this has been a great
All right.
show. I've enjoyed it, and I haven't had a show like this in months.
Come back.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
You get bored here.
Come
just-
back. We got pear chick pies now.
Yeah. Come back, Bob. We love you.
Hey, Bob, if you get bored over here, there's something wrong.
Oh yeah, I still think Linda. I think you should rename your channel to the lindalinda.com for Walter's sake, if nothing else.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, Linda just got a new .com. It's paramomusa.com.
Yep.
That's right.
How'd she find out about that, Sean?
I love you guys.
See, on Linda's
You're
channel,
my
I can see on Linda's channel it's going to be paramotor, paragliding, and rodeo.
Rodeo.
Hey, Linda, we
Oh,
need to do
yeah.
we need to do girls trip and post some videos on your website.
I know. I have to learn how to do all that.
We need
I
to do
do.
crazy fun stuff. Be like them and Louise.
Oh my Louise.
I
Just
know.
stay away from that. Stay away from that cliff.
Exactly.
Stay away
I
from the
love
cliff
Amy.
unless
I
you
love
have
Amy.
unless you have a paramotor on, right?
Or a
There you go.
paraglider.
Here's your drink, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Now
I
get back
love
in the
it.
kitchen.
I love you guys.
Well, anyway, guys, this has been a great show, and I enjoyed it, and it's been I haven't had a show this fun in a long time. So
Good.
Thank you. Have a great night.
Well,
Yeah,
y'all have a
You're
great
always
evening.
welcome.
Bob, I hope everything works out well. Sorry to hear about that. And hopefully next week we'll say, man, yeah, he popped out of that. No problem. Everything's okay. That's what
I
we're
hope
looking
so.
And we converted Bob to come over here instead of over wherever he's been hanging out.
for. We converted the Bob.
Hey, Bob, we can let you be a moderator over here if it'll bring you over here.
I love you guys.
See you
You know,
guys.
I'm gonna say
Later,
night-night.
Linda.
99. Tell your date I said hi.
Oh, Amy's joining in.
Oh, I know. I love Amy. She's my
Thank
girl.
you.
You're my girl, Amy. I love you.
Oh,
Thank
my,
you.
my air traffic controller just went to bed, and she's asking me when I'm coming up. So
Yeah, mine's been doing the same thing.
These
We
air
really need
traffic.
to stop this stream and go. Or else
Hey,
somebody's gonna-
hey, my air traffic controller is almost a pilot, so I don't really get that.
see,
Yeah.
my wife will never. Back in my GA days, I don't care if I'm flying at 152, I'm 182,